girl makes her appearance.
Right.
You go live. That's the only choice you have.
Totally. We go on to a discussion of the Dukes.
Yeah, only that gay coded hairdresser from the Cold Slither episode knows for sure.
Right. But good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in after the Rockford Files marathon here on the Superstation. It's 9:05, which means it's time for What's on Joe Mind. The honcho is off tonight, as you can see. He is, if you remember back to last week, he is in Jamaica working on his accent from Bend, Oregon. That is a whole story unto itself, which we will just leave you to go back and watch last week's episode to get caught up on. I can't recap it here. The wheels came off hard last week. So if you missed it, shame on you.
And it was all his fault.
It really was. I like to take credit for stuff like that, but man, Mark was just on another planet last week. Anyways, Joe Slepsky in the house, and we'll be back after you watch our cool opening sequence one more time. Everybody, it's 9:05. It's Tuesday night. Welcome to What's on Joe Mind. I'm your host, Mike Irizarry. We are a fan cast about the world of G.I. Joe. How's everybody doing?
Things look different up here.
Yeah, well, now you get to contend with the QR code, so hopefully it doesn't scoot over and try to horn you out there.
You're in the Charles Nelson Riley seat,
right? You're not
CNR,
like Mark.
Baby.
You're not like Mark with a size 8 head sitting this far away from the monitor.
I said Bippy.
like a moon hanging in orbit. But yeah, as you can see, receiving his temporary promotion to the top row, the host of a show that no longer exists. It's Rack Time Rob.
What do you mean no longer exists? This is it.
Right. But now it's a show within a show, and that's no fun. You've lost your autonomy. Now you're just a callback.
Even the great Green Arrow was a sub feature in a title.
Many.
I believe Green Lantern ran as a sub feature in a backup for a while in Flash.
Yes.
If I recall correctly. So, all the greats take some time off to come back even better.
Something like that. We'll go with it.
It's true.
Yeah, sounds good.
Now, is this my Adventure Comics run or my World's Finest Comics run?
This is your Action Comics Weekly run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
funny.
So
Green Arrow did Action Comics before it was weekly.
I know. You got to perform, though. You got to perform. Otherwise, then you won't get promoted.
He hit all the big anthology titles in those days.
Mm-hmm.
In the bottom row, boring half of you to sleep already. He is the host of the Joe on Joe podcast. And
hey, what is this? What is this? A Trump trial? No one's sleeping through this. This is exciting.
Here to supplement our show within a show, he is comic expert of renown, Joe Slepsky on the program.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me on. Happy to be here.
For Joe Slepsky. If you're not clapping at home, we'll know. Don't ask how, but we will. Joe, how's the world treating you?
The world's treating me great. Yeah, fabulous.
And you were saying that you missed last week due to important medical procedures.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah, I got a little ill, got a little under the weather, but I'm back. Got my breath back. And loving life, living life, baby. It is not hard to do a podcast, but it is hard to do a podcast when you got a little congestion, chest cold thing here. Especially a solo one.
When you can't talk without doing the breathy voice.
There's no breath. It's hard to go extreme.
It's when you're doing a bad Batman impression the entire time.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out nearly so well.
I thought we could talk about G.I. Joe today. See, there's the bad one.
that sounded like
you said bad. You said bad.
Yeah, it's
that sounded more like a bad Captain Kirk.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a little Captain Kirky. Yeah,
like if Shatner was trying to do an Adam West impression. That's where you landed at.
I did a table read for someone once, and we jokingly said, "What if we did this as Captain Kirk?" And I could not get out of Captain Kirk the entire night. My wife kept being like, "Stop doing Captain Kirk," and I'm like,
"It's really hard.
I can't. I really think this character would pause and unnecessarily drag the scene on." You know, it was weird. It was hard to break out of. So I won't do that today.
Friends,
like Austin Butler is like Austin Butler as Elvis.
One of my favorite William Shatner moments was when he was on Craig Kilborn getting his, 5 questions, and one of them was, "Why all the dramatic pauses?" And he just answered back, "I couldn't remember my lines."
It works.
Billy the Shats, a classic. Still with us, of course.
Still. Yep.
He was in Bloomington for the eclipse.
Was he?
Yeah.
Josiah Alcorn asks, is it a Phil Donnelly night? No, it is not, obviously. Phil is not to be found. Phil did have the invitation to join us tonight, but Phil has skipped out. So
I feel like it's me.
My guess is that Greg is correct. Phil's in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Because that's what Phil does.
Fun.
That's what Phil does. He has a cabin there. I think he has a room under Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
You have to share it with the country bears. Where are the bears that sing for Duke? Doo-da, doo-da.
Live chat tonight has been all about the Dukes of Hazzard animated series. Andrew Gaugan asks, there was a Dukes of Hazzard animated series. Wait, it was the 70s and 80s. Nearly every show had an animated spinoff. And yeah, pretty much. If you appealed to a young audience, you got an animated spinoff. Happy Days had a couple. Gilligan's Island.
Wasn't it called Gilligan's Planet?
Yes.
There was Gilligan's Island on an island, and then they did Gilligan's Planet.
Oh, they did both. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
But Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley joined the army.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I believe didn't Mork and Mindy have one?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mork
they
and
did.
Mindy.
They totally did. Yeah. I mean, the Rock and Wrestling had their own cartoon.
Right. With Brad Garrett as Hulk Hogan. Yes.
I absolutely loved those early fall teaser shows where they would be like, "This is what's going to be on CBS this morning, this fall," and they would show you clips. Like those were the greatest. Like it was like, this is sweeps week for me. Like I was like, are they doing the promo show yet to show what I'm in for this week or this year? Like, oh, those shows were awesome.
I used to love those too, but there was one year and specifically that was scarring. There's Phil chicken in. Sorry, family stuff tonight. Just here for the first minutes. A likely story.
Yeah.
A likely story.
Hi, Phil. Thanks, Josiah. I appreciate you.
Right. Josiah Alcorn, he likes Joe on Joe.
I will send you your check.
Right. You're not here to plug somebody else's damn show. Wait, no, actually we are.
I plug your show. I talk to
you do all the time. I
do. It's my
you're like the only one. You plug our damn show more than some people who are, hosts on our damn show.
You're my baby reindeer. I just watched that on Netflix. That show's crazy.
Baby reindeer. Dude, we've been doing this for 13 years this month. We're not anybody's baby reindeer.
It's a reference to a show that literally dropped like 3 days ago, so I'm probably the only one that's seen it yet, but it's pretty solid. It's about a stalker. Thank you, Joe fan. You're right. What's on Joe Mind is better, but I am cool. But I am cooler.
Joe fan 84 laying down that Joe on Joe is cool. What's true. On Joe Mind is better. Look, you're on What's on Joe Mind at this point, so we have to agree with you.
This is the crossover. This is when Mork showed up on Happy Days.
Right.
Remember that? Remember?
I mean,
that's where it spin off from.
Yeah. He literally spun off from it. Yeah, but this is the crossover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Richie, I met these 2 girls from Milwaukee. When they get their own show, they're going to jump forward 20 years.
No. Laverne and Shirley was set in the 50s.
But when they moved to California, didn't it suddenly jump to the late 70s?
Did it? I don't.
I thought it did.
Did it? Maybe it was a more natural progression. Yeah.
I got nothing for you there, Joe. I am not.
I watched the hell out of those shows, man. I loved them. My dog's
Look,
name is ShirleyFY.
I was about to say this kind of works more like a Laverne and Shirley crossover because you've got ShirleyFY.
Yeah, I do. My dog's name is ShirleyFY.
So
no friend named Laverne DeFazio.
No, we got them separately. But you never know. The Big Ragu. I feel like the Big Ragu would be the next.
Big Ragu. Being hounded by a Carmine Raguso hound.
His name would be Carmine Raguso.
Well, of course,
He's just hollering those. Hey, Ragu.
Hey, Big Ragu.
We'd call you know what? We'd probably call him the Little Ragu.
Little Ragu.
Well,
yeah, we'd probably call him Little Ragu.
So long as you train him that whenever you called out Ragu, he would howl along with you.
Yes. Yeah, can't take him to any Italian neighborhoods.
No.
Either that or he just starts singing "Chances Are" by Johnny Mathis.
Our younger brother has 2 corgis, and we've gotten her. We've gotten we're at the point where they recognize us and stuff, and they like us. So the one Heidi, anytime she's really happy, she has like a happy howl. And I've gotten to the point now where I'll start doing the happy howl to induce her into doing the happy howl.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be that's a good trick for the Big Ragu. Is this ShirleyFY?
This is ShirleyFY.
Right,
this is the titular ShirleyFY. She was sitting at my feet, so I figured I'd give her screen time.
Right.
This is Shirley Wilhelmina Feeney Slepsky.
I mean, it's only fair because it's like we've been saying her name up, down, and sideways.
That's the thing. She's probably thinks we've been talking about her.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to say, if there are dog lovers out there, which, we love our girls, and you like to put up like photos of your dog, go to those. There's a few websites that do it. Get those Photoshop pictures of your dog, like as stormtroopers or, or as like 18th century noblemen, and then hang them around your house. They're the greatest things ever. We have a stormtrooper. We have a HanSolo.
Josiah Alcorn asks, did last week's episode get taken down? Unless it's happened in the last 10 minutes. No, because that was the last time I was on our background YouTube site, and it's still live there. So I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I have no idea. So if by all means enlighten us as to what is causing this course of questioning. I'm refreshing now just to make sure. Exciting YouTube refreshing action.
Woo-hoo!
Of course, I'm running a StreamYard show, so it takes about a half a year.
It's
still there. Yeah, still there.
Yeah.
Still live.
It's because StreamYard works in metric.
It's the one with the picture of the eclipse.
Yeah, with Cody Rhodes and Beachhead and Chicken Nugget staring at it.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes, by the way, Cody Rhodes, one-time Joe on Joe pop-in guest star.
Was he really?
Yes.
How?
I had you guys would know. I had Audrey Sitterson on. And when he came to do the interview, he was there. He brought Cody Rhodes with him.
Nice.
They're friends from when he worked with the WWE or whatever wrestling federation, AEW, I guess at the time. So so Cody Rhodes watched an episode of Joe and Joe being taped. I think I have somewhere footage that I think I cut. It might still be in the episode, but I think I have cutting room floor footage of me talking to him off camera about his awesome dad. His dad had just passed like the year earlier or something.
See, right there, you need to call him back. Say, hey, remember me?
Yeah, he'll be like, yeah. What I refer to him as the son of a plumber.
I mean, that's what he does. So he
may
have stolen that.
Yeah,
from
I
him.
mean,
he does really? Does he?
Sometimes.
Does he? Oh wow! Because I called him that because my friend Pablo, who was teaching me all about how great Dusty Rhodes was, would just call him the son of a plumber. So when I saw him, the first thing that came out of my head was the step down. So who knows? Maybe that's a Joe and Joe influence. I don't know. Listen. I'm not Roy Thomas. I'm not going to take credit for something that I didn't do.
I don't know. See all that. Now, Racktime Rob devising his Roy Thomas apologist defense.
Courting
I'm not.
Controversy. Roy, no, I have a theory. Roy, that the ghost of Bob Kane came back and is haunting Roy Thomas.
Roy Thomas.
That's what's happening here. We
My-
need an exorcism on Roy Thomas to get Bob Kane out of him.
There is a great story about that Tony Isabella tells about something like this.
Uh-huh.
Tony Isabella, I read this in the intro to his Black Lightning trade. And he was sitting in the DC offices, and talking about, basically Black Lightning. And Robert Kanier, the longtime editor at DC Comics, writer of many of the war books, and stuff like that, said, "What are you talking about? I created Black Lightning." He's going on. So, and then somebody else just looked at him and said, "Bob, are you talking about Johnny Thunder's horse?" And he goes, "Yeah, the horse. It was Johnny Thunder rode it in, had the thing." I was like, "Okay, Bob."
See, that's charming. That's a charming. That's a very charming story, actually. That makes me love Bob Koeniger even more.
Yeah,
that's a charming story. This one, not that charming.
Yeah, I'm not up on what what's Roy Thomas claiming.
Oh, he has successfully negotiated with the powers that be over at Disney to get co-creator credit on the new Wolverine and Deadpool movie. After literally everyone else is dead who would be involved in that scenario.
Right.
So he didn't speak. He didn't speak up when Len Wein was alive. He didn't speak up, when Herb Trimpe or John Romita was still around. He waited till they all died and said, "Hey, I was the editor. I'm one of the co-creators of Wolverine."
I mean, do you get to be a co-creator for? I mean, I don't. For Rubber, did he say he did anything other than Rubber
Comic?
Yeah, but that
comic. That's the thing, man. All the old time pros have come out of the woodwork and been like, "Listen, comic tradition is the editors are there to help input and edit. The writers create the thing. There's a lot of brainstorms in the mix, but it's the writer and the artist who they do the creation. In this case, it was Trimpe and Romita. Romita designed it, gave it to Trimpe, and Len Wein wrote it, and they all all had different pieces of it that came together. But the editor they have a very important job, but it ain't that. I mean,
correct.
No, I mean,
when Stan Lee was taking credit, for everything, whatever, that's a different debate. But he was actually the writer on those books. Yes, he was the editor, but he was the writer. So,
right.
It's no, man, like you're not. No,
I mean,
and why not? And why say and say he's saying it now because I'm sure because everyone's dead and I have no axe to grind against Roy Thomas, but that is a weasel thing to do. Yeah, Len Wein passed away a few years back.
Yeah,
it's been a little bit.
Yeah, so his widow is the one who spoke up about it, and she got a call from somebody or other about it, and and I'm sure she lives off those royalties. I can't imagine he was a rich man, but I'm sure she lives off the Wolverine royalties.
Right. Especially a character that's that popular.
Yeah.
Are they getting? Is she getting any royalties off of Wolverine?
Well,
yeah, sure. Like for usage, not like daily print stuff, for like movie stuff. They cut checks, not huge, I imagine, but
right. Like
it's also.
Len Wein is credited as a co-creator of Wolverine on any TV project that happens, any movie project that happens.
Oh, I know that, but I mean, I'm just thinking, that
she's getting some cash on
there's
that.
Some, and it's also the legacy of your dead partner, your dead husband, who.
I'm just wondering, like, how much of that, like Marvel just goes out, but I can see the studios paying out more.
It's not a ton. It is not a ton. And Marvel doesn't pay a ton, but you remember, comic book money and movie money are wildly different. So what? I'm sure they're all happy to get anything for the movies. I'm sure they would also love more. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But either way, it's just it's got to only be done for him to get a cut. And I'm sure it was lawyers talking to lawyers who said, "Okay, we'll do this, and then we'll get you so you don't take us to court." Because
I think Len once said that the biggest check he ever got for comics related work was when Lucius Fox showed up in Batman Begins.
Yeah. So Diana, you're saying that who Roy went out penniless at the end. So we talking about Len? Yeah, I mean all those stories are the same. That's the thing. That's the sad thing. Like the
It
details,
is, yeah.
details are going to be different per person, but they're all, sadly, it is all the same story, where the people who created this stuff don't get remotely the credit. You know, we're talking about, let's talk about Larry. Let's bring him back to G.I. Joe. You know, Larry created everything that we're talking about here, right? Everything.
Right.
He came up with all the stories. You know what I mean? Yeah, in conjunction with the creators that, you know, the artists
At least partially, yes. He's responsible.
Yeah. There's just a whatever, however much percentage, you got to say there's a massive handprint of pretty much everything that we talk about on this. I don't think he gets royalties, right? Like,
I don't think so either.
I've never heard that he does. Right.
Yeah.
So he still has to make the G.I. Joe comic book once a month, you know, to get a G.I. Joe paycheck. But yet he's identified as the father of G.I. Joe, and everyone wants to talk to him about G.I. Joe. Yet when you go to bed at night, your rent's not being paid by all this stuff that everyone else and their brother is getting rich off of.
Right.
Right. You know, yeah, Joe, we know, you know, it's a little trickier, but you know what I mean? They're trying to get rich off of.
Right.
You know,
even the people from the toy side, it's the same deal for them.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
You know, G.I. Joe was a thing in the 60s and 70s, but in the 80s, it became something different. And you know, the Kirk Bazigians of the world are not getting paid for the characters that they helped create in the 80s either. So,
right. True.
Yeah,
no,
it's
true.
It was
part of the job.
It is part of the job, but
I get
part of the it's part of the job, but it's also a trickier part because you're imbuing life into these people versus here's your job. Your job is to design a thing, whatever. And then when someone puts a stamp on it, like Larry's did, you know, that literally brings to life those characters and, you know, vehicles, playsets, all that stuff. It's such a tricky social situation to be in, you know.
Right. Well, I mean,
you got to you got to be able to.
Bill and company, they didn't just continue on what G.I. Joe was. They took kind of a soft left,
right,
and they turned it into a specific group of guys that didn't exist before that. So yeah, they should be credited as being creators, the same way Larry gave them, you know, personalities and put a story around it and put Cobra into effect. And you know, he is also a co-creator, just a different part of the process.
I'm not saying that. I apologize. I am not saying that to take it away from anyone.
No. My point is that none of them get a dime off of G.I. Joe today, even though they all helped create the dominant mythos of a 60-year property.
Correct.
And it's pretty bullshit.
It really is. It's like when you see a more modern version is like Liefeld with Deadpool. He gets all that Deadpool money, and I'm sure he gets a fat chunk of that Deadpool money because he was in a position to negotiate, I imagine, back in the day.
Well, by that time, two things were different.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But we all know,
got a bigger piece.
We all know the version of Deadpool that he created is not the version that people remotely care about. Right?
Exactly.
Like, none of it. You give it to Joe Kelly or I think a little bit of Fabian Nicieza, but Joe Kelly's the one who really branched and took Deadpool into the realm that has now captured people's imagination.
Right.
And yet, who's credited as co-creator, you know?
Yeah.
It's and he did though. He
did.
He did though. That's the thing. He did. Yeah. He made the character, but he didn't make what's great about the character. That's the weird part.
No,
like,
he created the
John
weird
Byrne
hybrid Snake Eyes and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Look of Deadpool, but he didn't give him any personality.
Right, exactly. But he's always credited as creator and all that stuff. And some of the people that I know I don't know what to do. It's one of the vagaries. It's one of the vagaries of the thing. But I know that Roy Thomas didn't make Wolverine.
Yeah, but I mean, even going back to Wolverine, you know, who gets more credit for making Wolverine what he is? I mean, you know, Len Wein's a creator, you know, as the writer, but don't you think that Chris Claremont did more? You're 100.
That's an even better. Yeah, that's a better example. Yeah, and Byrne was the first one to draw his face, right? Wasn't I believe it was?
No, Dave Cockrum.
Didn't Byrne do the sideburns? Byrne did something that was. I thought maybe
Dave Cockrum did the thing for the first time.
Did Byrne first do that? The claws weren't in his gloves. Like they were in his hands. There was, but either way, but you're right though. Dave Cockrum.
No, that was Dave Cockrum too.
Okay, well, Dave Cockrum did all that, and you know, and he's not.
We're
and then,
we're 25 minutes in on this. Let's go ahead and get into community calendar.
I'm so sorry.
We can save this for our sister podcast, the Origin of Wolverine.
My point being, it's got to be tough to be in the shoes of a Larry Hama, where you've got this renown and connection with, and at the end of the day, he's just like anyone else. You got to pay your bills, whatever. And he's still got to hustle to make that, to make off that. You know what I mean? It's got to be tough, man. I got all the compassion for that. It's weird. It's such a peculiar situation.
So, anyways, getting back to community calendar, of course, we are progressing along with the serial, the continuing saga of the Deke episodes and the new Staff Sergeant C-Nugs. So we'll play the last week's installment at the beginning of the segment. We'll play the new installment at the end. So everybody brace yourselves. As usual, this is jarring, and I have to put a trigger warning on it. But moving on. The algorithm sucks, and I have no idea how to beat it. And we're going to... Community calendar. Community calendar. I have no idea what's going on.
Nope. I mean, we saw that one last week. I still don't know what's going on.
Right. Well, again, that's last week's installment. There's a new installment for this week. Well,
I know. I know. I'm just saying it's the second time now. I still don't know.
But as you can see there in the in there was the Roma Collectibles Yeti. Roma Collectibles, of course, the official vagabond hobo retailer of What's on Joe Mind. Be sure to visit Roma Collectibles, the toy store in Springfield, Ohio. They are closed Monday and Tuesday, open Wednesday through Saturday, 12 to 7, Sunday, 12 to 5. Always buying collections, big and small. As you can see, the friendly, happy, smiling faces there of our what are we? Their owners, the proprietors of Roma Collectibles, the toy store, and of all of the happy Roma Collectibles booths that you see at Joe shows nationwide across this great country of ours. Just be careful. They do bite. They do. They're biters. So Joe Slepsky has no reaction. Anyways, first up.
Well, I know I do. Actually, I do. I it's a sidetrack. I just watched a true crime thing about how bite mark identification for solving crimes is a complete BS science.
And here I was worried we were going to fill 2 hours.
Right. So if I'm just saying, if they're biters, they could probably get away with a crime. They just got to prove that it wasn't, it's some BS.
Coming up this weekend, St. Tamin Collectors Con. That is happening in Mandeville, Louisiana. You can see there they've got Sergeant Slaughter as their guest of honor. Sarge has the big panel. There's some other guys there too, but they're not Sergeant Slaughter. Kids 12 and under are free parking. Food trucks in the parking lot, which is, of course, again, parking is free. They've got a game room, largest collection of toys and comics on the Gulf Coast. That's a tough one to beat right there. If you're anywhere close to the Gulf Coast and they're in southern Louisiana, get yourself to the St. Tammany Collectors Con. You can get more details at sttamanycollectorscon.com, strangely enough.
Who is the Bronze Age Batgirl? Is that just a cosplayer?
I think it's just a cosplayer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like, she looks
a
little young to have been like the stunt woman in the 66 show.
Right. She's put more work into that than I will on anything in my life, but so I don't want to dismiss and say just a cosplayer.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mean it like that. I was trying to place it. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, I had to tear in my jeans repaired. I feel like that's making my own cosplay.
Something like that. But and of course that is again this weekend, April 20th and 21st, 2 days on the Gulf Coast. Because if you're gonna have a show on the Gulf Coast, Louisiana, you don't just do it for 1 day.
No, you do both days.
Weekend.
Yeah, you do both days. Especially with Sarge. Especially with Sarge there. You could probably hang out and talk wrestling with Sarge.
Greg Augustin says, I thought you said Mandible, Louisiana. after the bite forensic bit. I may have, Greg. I'm not going to lie to you. It might have happened. You might not be wrong. Anyways, if you're anywhere close, go check it out. Next up, let's change directions. Let's go way north.
Yeah.
This Sunday in Tirana.
Do it.
There's a rainbow in Tirana.
Where the Maritimers are bold.
That's right. At the Transact Club, you can see our good friend Word Burglar at the Artsy Fartsy ComicCon. He is artsy. I don't know about fartsy. We hung around a little bit with Berg a number of years ago at a couple JoeCons. I did not detect a gas problem then, but apparently he emits enough to be allowed into the Artsy Fartsy Comic-Con.
Times change, diets change. You never know.
Right.
It depends on the poutine.
Yeah. He's Canadian. They run in weird cycles.
The cold air really stops the spread.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's awesome. If you're
is.
in the area, go check him out.
Yeah, Berg is just about the nicest guy ever. It's no small source of shame that I have never managed to actually get him on our show.
He's been a guest on Joe on Joe.
Just scheduling always, like my schedule right now is a nightmare. So it's anybody who's not appearing on our program, it is entirely my fault. So yeah, it's one of those. I got to fix that at some point really soon. But anyways, if you're around the great city of Toronto, some call it the second best city in the entire hemisphere. Get out and see Word Burglar. Just $5 gets you into the Artsy Fartsy Comic-Con this Sunday from 11 to 5. Jake Rose, sorry he's late. Daughter-in-law's birthday. What did he miss? Well, you know what that means.
Happy birthday, daughter-in-law.
We don't have enough time for that.
We got to start.
First the earth cooled, then the dinosaurs came, but they got too big and fat, and so they died. Then they turned into oil. Then the Arabs came, they bought Mercedes-Benzes. Then Charles started wearing all of Di's clothing.
I love that bit, and then the buttons got stuck.
Yeah.
So I couldn't end it. I couldn't end the bit. Oh, Lord. Sounds about right. Our live viewership tailed off drastically after that one.
I blame me.
Drastically. Or it's just one of those StreamYard hiccups. God only knows.
Yeah. We probably chased them all off.
Next up, Toyman Show happening May 5th. That is a week from Sunday. Or a couple weeks from Sunday. That is 9 to 2. $5 gets you in the door at the big old Machinist Hall in Bridgeton, Missouri. $15 gets you in for early bird. Parking is free. Find and hug Dave Draper for a 0% discount. And again, that's where the big kids play. Toyman. 2 big stories. Fill in the Machinist Hall just outside St. Louis, Missouri, right by the airport.
I mean, what else are you doing in St. Louis? There's I've been there. If the Cardinals aren't playing, you go see a toy show. And even if they are playing, go see a toy show.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
St. Louis, having lived there for a long time, I do have to admit, having lived in several mid-major Midwestern cities, St. Louis is the easiest place to find something to do in.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like St. Louis, if you can't find a decent bar with a decent band, you didn't try.
Nice.
And that's for whatever type of music you might want to listen to. Living in Indianapolis now, this is perhaps the most boring place I have ever been in my life. Kansas City was exciting for different reasons. It was a different type of excitement. It was more of an I'm afraid for my well-being excitement.
Oh, but all that good barbecue. Get that good barbecue.
You know what? Barbecue's just as good in St. Louis. Really is. So yeah.
Barbecue and fried ravioli.
I know St. Louis has a bad rap, but If you ever get the chance to visit St. Louis, visit St. Louis.
I found a prosthetic leg in the streets of St. Louis once.
Excellent.
Yeah, true story.
That is the prosthetic leg capital of the Midwest. You know.
Yep. Just laying there in the middle of the street.
In tradition, as you leave the city limits, if you have a prosthetic leg, just to check it out your car window.
Medical grade prosthetic leg.
As an offering, to good luck.
Had I a rental car at the time and we weren't on feet in mass transit, it would have gone home with me.
What the deal is there is that the paperwork on those Missouri prosthetic legs is not good in Illinois.
Right.
So you gotta dump it.
There's a big cross-state tax. I would have had to wear it to get in.
You get across the river, you get to Collinsville, you have to just buy a new prosthetic leg.
Yeah.
So,
Mike, did you see the comment from Bart?
Bart, Steel City ComicCon update: 0 hugs given. Damn it, people! What's it going to take to get Bart to hand out some hugs? Matt Rubin, defend yourself. Mr. Pittsburgh, explain how no hugs are given at Steel City ComicCon. He's probably one of our many people that bailed out.
Pittsburgh's a rough town. Man.
Look.
Lower the price of Steel City.
There you go.
I had a feeling that was coming.
I mean, sure, but if Bart's hanging, Bart's not adding to that cost. So, anyways,
I met a girl in Pittsburgh once.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Well, better than Bayonne.
I know that was not the lovely Toilet Teal. So
no, it wasn't. It wasn't Toilet Teal. It was in high school, years before I met Toilet Teal.
And it still troubles me that this is the name that she has chosen for herself.
Listen, man, Cobra cleaning lady. Nothing wrong with that.
Look, I'm not saying there's not dignity in the work, man.
She's connecting to her Polish heritage.
That's fine. Anyways,
moving on. We got a time limit here.
I mean, we don't, but at some point, people are just tune us.
For those of you who don't know, my wife, her G.I. Joe code name she chose was Toilet Teal, the Cobra cleaning lady. And Mike is always baffled by her self-inflicted choice of being the Cobra cleaning lady named Toilet Teal.
Right. Like I'm it's one of those things where if you gave her that name as a joke, I'm not going to put constraints on your marriage, but she picked that name herself.
Right. But because she's really funny, man. She teaches comedy at Second City. She's very funny.
I get you. I get you. I mean, I saw on Facebook she was going to grad school, man. What's she going to grad school for?
Yeah, she is. She's going to LMU for she's getting a pedagogy in theater performance to be able to be God. Like a what do I call that when you're a professor? I guess professor in college and teach it.
Gene Cousineau.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's exactly it. Yeah, no, it's great. She's loving it.
Left, with his absence now.
Yeah.
That's
Well, who knows? Her friend does that. Is the head of the department in Indianapolis.
There you go.
And there's only so many jobs in the country that need professor of performance pedagogy. Dun dun dun. Just saying.
We should get her on the show to entertain everyone and just retire ourselves.
Oh, funnier than me. Everyone tells me they're like, I like your wife better than you. I get it.
Oh, sure.
She just doesn't know as much about G.I. Joe. So I
mean, that side of things would slow down. But I feel like if we prepared slides, she could make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, you're a guy. Your performance background is what?
I've done live theater and I've written live theater. I've written staged theater and been around.
You've done,
but not like her.
You've done some podcast drama.
Done podcast drama. C2E2 is coming up in Chicago at the very first C2E2. I brought my comedy group there, and we did a sketch group, which actually started with a G.I. Joe sketch. That was the impetus of it. I did a G.I. Joe sketch in class, and it bombed. But But I left that class to go with my buddy Joe. I go, his name's Joe too. I'm like, it's funny though, right? He goes, yeah, it's totally funny, but that's because we knew what the references were.
Right.
And so that started the idea to say, hey, let's do a show for Comic Geeks. So we did mid-grade comics. So we did three or four shows. We did sold out nights at Second City. We did 2 C2E2s, and then I moved to California and I never did it again.
Okay.
But it was great. Yeah, it was great. We did our culminating show was a big Fantastic Four. I played Ben Grimm for an hour on stage. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Because I mean, you know, we get some folks in here. It's not just a bunch of Johnnies, Johnny come latelys. We get some folks that actually technically know how to entertain people.
Yeah, we try.
Technically,
we try.
You know, I've done live theater. I've done stand-up comedy. I've done some things.
Yeah, same here.
And yet here we are being completely not entertaining for a solid 40 minutes. I mean, what can you do?
Listen, you get what you pay for, I guess, right?
Right. I'm just saying, we're going to the bullpen. Get us toilet here. Get us in the bullpen. Cobby's.
So you would immediately you would immediately have to turn your like adult filter on though. She's got potty mouth.
That's fine. Collecting and Hobbies Maximum says he's the only person in chat right now. No, there's more of you. The counter is not working right, so don't let that throw you. There's folks in chat. Honest.
Or at least that's the excuse we're going to use.
We swear. Honest. Scotty Cameron says, "Don't be too hard on yourselves." I think we're not being hard on ourselves nearly enough.
I appreciate you, Scotty.
We do.
I appreciate you. I like to keep myself humble, but I appreciate the uplift from Scotty. Always.
Next up on May 18th at the Metro Convention Center in Hickory. Another inside pitch promotion show, as made famous by Michael Gene Fleming when he sent us some pictures of his haul from the last one. You can get all the skinny, all the dirt on all of the inside pitch shows at insidepitchpromo.com. But again, this next one, May 18th in Hickory, North Carolina at the Metro Convention Center. 9 to 4, $5 gets you in the door. Kids 12 and under are free. I don't understand why you'd want even a free kid at that age, because they can't even help with the yard work. So I'd figure you'd want an older kid. At least they can help you run errands.
What kind of show is this? Just baseball cards?
Among other things. They do comics, toys, baseball cards, card games. Again, we had one of our fans did send us some pictures. Michael Gene Fleming sent us some pictures of, and he had a damn fine Joe Hall for an afternoon in North Carolina.
I love small shows.
If people keep showing up to pitch GI Joe at inside pitch shows, we're gonna keep telling people to go.
Yeah, do it, man. I love small shows like I don't even know how small this is, but you know what I mean. I love like the one-off shows that just have local people bringing their wares. I think those shows are great.
But I can dig that we've got some, the inside pitch folks and the Toy Man folks in St. Louis. They do a number of shows in that area every year. But so that's cool and all. It gives some consistency to it, but it's still
sweet.
Still small stuff. You're not getting charged for celebrity autographs and the like. You're just going to buy stuff for your collection and look at other cool stuff. Derek Holloman taking umbrage. 11 and 12-year-olds can do lots of chores. Trust me on that. Yeah, but when they get pulled over, there's no way for them to fake being 16. So I'm a little antsy on that one. I don't need it. I don't need any of that stuff coming back to me. This is all about my plausible deniability. Damn it.
Before we get any further, actually, I'll just ask you guys this may not be relevant, so I won't go any further. Does anyone in the chat, do you guys like watch Dungeons and Dragons stream like podcast shows, like shows specifically Dimension 20? If you're familiar with that, they're doing a big Madison Square Garden, like literally they're selling out Madison Square Garden to do a show.
Wow, really? Them and Billy.
Yeah. So if anyone's on the chat is aware of that, let me speak up or never hold your peace or something.
Something like that.
There's a connection here, but go on, please proceed.
How big of a room do you think you could sell out doing a live Joe on Joe podcast?
Oh my God. I think I can fit 2 chairs in my office here.
So what you're saying is your fans would rent a Cessna
My fans wouldn't travel
to travel on the show.
If I were so honored, such as the gentleman at What's on Joe Mind, to be cordially invited as a podcaster to, you know, a Joe convention kind of a thing, I imagine a couple people would show up, and then we'd go to your con, which would be 5 times as many people.
I think you're associating us with our past levels of fame.
Yeah,
because we don't we don't go around trying to piss people off or make fake predictions about what's going to happen in Joe Classified. So,
yeah, I don't
we don't do any of that stuff.
Well, okay, so it doesn't sound like anyone is down with that.
No.
The reason I bring that up real quick is this: I saw this in just gaming news the other day, and I looked at this picture of this. I don't watch Dungeons and Dragons; it's not my jam, but they do this role play. You know, that's really popular. Like Critical Role is the other big one.
Right.
So I guess they're doing the sellout thing. Well, apparently, I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh, that's my friend Siobhan, and I knew her from Second City. We were out here in LA, but we haven't really connected since Chicago. Well, my friend Siobhan's on the show. She played Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe sketch, is what I'm saying. That's why I'm bringing it back to G.I. Joe. So if you're a Dimension 20 fan, and then you know Siobhan Thompson, she's great. She's a delight. And she played Snake Eyes on stage in Chicago is the whole reason I bring that up. And she's going to be playing Madison Square Garden or whatever they're doing there, which is awesome. I'm very proud of her.
That's a deep dive, Joe. But
yeah, it's a deep dive. But every time I see
her,
I love it. Yeah, she's great. And she's super talented. She writes on cartoons and stuff. And every time I see her blow up, I just go, she played Snake Eyes. And I look at her bio and I keep waiting for her to list that. Played Snake Eyes in mid-grade.
Suffice to say, on my performer resume, I do have General Hawk in G.I. Columbo.
Yes, you do. Yes, you should.
Listed.
You should. You were very good. You were excellent at that.
Steve Young asks, Mike, does Fred ever reach out to you on DairyCon? I don't even know what DairyCon is, so I'm going to say no. But again, if you want us to show up at shows, don't tell us. We don't organize shows. We can't make ourselves guests at shows. Let the promoters know. Send them emails. Say, hey, we want What's on Joe Mind. Where the hell is What's on Joe Mind?
And then the promoters will say, what the hell is What's on Joe Mind?
Right. And then you just send them a link and they will be shocked and horrified. But still, Matt Rubin says that DairyCon is a Transformers con. Sure, great. That's one thing I know about DairyCon.
Well, it's focused on the very short-lived line of Transformer toys called the Bovine Wars. It was like a 1997 line. It didn't do well. They all transformed into cows, Guernsey cows, different types of cows.
It was the Jersey bots against the Holstein cows.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah, with like realist. The parents were really upset with the realistic udder action. That's what got pulled it off the shelves.
That's fair.
So they're very hard to get, and that's why the DairyCon is really an exclusive niche kind of show. But it's very fun.
Figure 6-pack now has a craving for frozen yogurt.
Greg Augustin, Decepticons, you're absolutely freaking right. Yes, Decepticons. Yes, 150 times. Yeah, I remember Barnyard Commandos.
Joe Fan 84 hopes to meet us at Joe Fest this year. We hope to meet you too. We will be there. But you know what happened? Joe Fest reached out to us. We did not just call up Joe Fest and said, "Hey, we're showing up. Make us guests." It doesn't work that way. You're supposed
to talk about that in front of other podcasters.
Look, man, if you want to come hang out with us at Joe Fest, you could come sit at the booth.
Oh, if I do make an appearance,
we have a booth.
No, if I do make an appearance, you're damn right I will.
It's June 21st to the 23rd, Augusta, Georgia.
We have a booth?
No, but
okay, good. I don't want
we kind of have a spot to conglomerate at this point. Anyways, moving on. SoCal Joe and Toy Convention. That's happening Sunday, May 19th.
Boom, boom, boom.
It's back. They do 2 of these a year. You're getting out to this one, Joe?
Oh, this is the one in Temecula. No,
Right.
not
What?
this one. No. There's one in Pasadena. That's the one I was thinking of.
All right.
Temecula is a little bit of a stretch. Maybe I will. I got nothing going on a Sunday, so maybe I will. But it's a little further for Temecula is a little further for me. So
just hang out with Phil. He'll take you to
maybe I will
take you to Disneyland. Hang out with Diana. She'll get you some wine.
I'm not saying no, but when you asked earlier before the show, I was thinking about the Pasadena one. I'm definitely.
Do you have to take the 5 to get there?
Oh, you got to take the 5, but then you got to cut over to the 10. If you're
all right,
lucky.
well, be careful because the 5 and the 10 are jammed.
Then get on the 110.
Yeah.
There we go. Jay Bartlett saying hello. Hello, Jay. Welcome to the program.
Jay. Yo, Joe.
Anyways, that is happening in Temecula on May 19th at the world famous Temecula Embassy Suites. It feels world famous because like we're talking about it every 3 months, but that's just because they do 2 shows a year. $10 gets you in the door, or $5 gets you in the door. $10 for early bird. Kids, again, 12 and under, free. You get more details on the show at Facebook. There will be some kind of exclusive. There always is. It's always a fun project. It has not been announced yet, but be sure to check them out on Facebook to get that done. Of course, Biff McConkey Donk will be in attendance, as well as his evil twin, Griff McTonky Bonk. We think.
Maybe.
Perhaps. That's the thing about evil twins. Sometimes they say they're going to do things, and then they don't follow through.
Because they're evil.
Right. So, Joe, we expect selfies of you with Phil.
Okay.
SoCal Joe Show.
Oh, my God. I love it. I think Phil's great.
Right. Has Phil been on Joe podcast?
He has, a long time ago. It's so funny. When I first started doing the show, I was frankly new to the modern scene. Like I came into it as a fan of the old stuff, and I was just kind of rediscovering stuff. So I had a lot of I mean this in the most laudatory way, like people in the scene, like G.I. Joe people in the scene, like a Phil Donnelly, contributor to
Yojo.com.
Yeah, Yojo.com, right? Like I had a lot of people like that, like on the show early on. I had no idea. I was just like, you like G.I. Joe? Come on, let's talk about old Sunbow episodes. So yeah, totally. Yeah.
And yet you missed us. You were totally done with Sunbow before we even met.
Well, I told you. I say this every time on the show. I'm a long-time host, first-time listener. I don't listen to others. Because my brain will steal your ideas. I don't want to do that. Your ideas are so potent. Potent.
Honestly, our ideas I would stay away from because we're still, after all this time, a 2-bit slime show. So our ideas should set off warning signals.
They are.
I've helped a fair amount of people start their own podcast over the years. And the first thing I do is, all right, if you want to know what not to do, tune in Tuesday nights.
Right. That's that really is
right now.
Bart, let's get you on the show. Come on. Diana, we need to get you on the show. Absolutely.
If you do this sort of thing long enough, you find that lots of people decide, well, that's easy. And they start their own podcast.
They totally do.
Most of those people are done within a year.
Yep. The final thing I say throughout, like, I literally have absolutely like helped people get, talk it through. And 100%. The thing I leave them with is, if you don't think you're going to be committed to it, don't even start.
Right.
Like you may have a great idea, but if you genuinely don't think you're going to be able to do it 6 months from now, even if it's not a weekly, like it's not no, because then what you're looking for is like, you're going to strike lightning, and there's some genius person who's going to swoop down and go, oh my God, this one episode of this one show you did, I need to get on my channel. And it's just like, it's gonna be a lot of work for a lot of nothing.
Right. I would trade no one watching us if one person who did would just support my life of luxury.
Oh my God.
I would sell out for one patron, make no mistake.
Yeah, totally.
Anyways, SoCal Joe Show, May 19th in Temecula. Be there. Catch Joe Slepsky, catch Phil, catch the Davises. Just, be careful and don't catch too much. Use protection. Next up, Iron City Comic-Con. That's happening June 1st and 2nd, or June 1 and 2, for those of you that are a little bit less on the reading. That is happening in Birmingham, Alabama. We go from Steel City to Iron City.
That's so confusing because there's a really good local beer called Iron City Beer out of Steel City, out of Pittsburgh.
That is at the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Center. Guests include Townsend Coleman, Jim Cummings, John Delancey, Michael Colden, the Monster Kane, Ray Park, and Rob Paulson. There's some G.I. Joe ties. Brent Spiner, and several more. They're kind of doing a Ninja Turtles thing at the show. But just so happens that, hey, Rob Paulson's part of that crowd.
That's what I'm talking about, Matt Rubin. Iron City Beer. Sorry, I interrupted.
Matt Rubin thought it had to do double take, thought Iron City Beer was putting on Comic-Con, and I missed it. Well, you kind of did.
Yeah.
Most of the time when folks are repeat guests, they remember that, you got to tell me before you start answering questions in live chat, because we do put this thing on in audio only, and that really makes for a tough listen for them.
Bart, Iron City Beer for me, I was from Chicago and I grew up on old style. And Iron City is the old style. Yeah, Iron City is the old style of, the East. So in college, my buddy Z, who was our roommate from Pittsburgh, he would import Iron City. So for us, it was an import beer, and I would export old style to him, and that's how we put on a lot of pounds.
Matt Rubin, that's calling you out there that Iron City Beer is piss water.
That's okay though. I mean, thirsty man on an island. I liked it. I liked Iron City.
Oh, he was in college, man.
I haven't had it in a long time, but hey, I'm here for it.
We a number of years ago, we would frequent a bar downtown that served old style on tap. It was the only bar in Indianapolis that did old style on tap.
That's the best way to do it.
And it's not great beer, but it was dollar beer.
Yeah.
So it was great beer.
Yeah, totally. It's fully Kreuzen. To quote the great Renee Belloc, it's my family label. So I will always stump for old style. And as soon as I put feet down back home, that's the first thing I reach for.
Anyways, we won't get too far into this one because we're going to be plugging it for a few weeks. Iron City Comic-Con, Birmingham, Alabama, June 1 to 2. Be there if you're in the neighborhood. And of course, just a reminder, Joe Fest happening June 21 to 23 in Augusta, Georgia. Skeletron announced that Palatoy legend Bob Brecken will be in attendance at the Palatoy booth. So round of applause for Skeletron. Round of applause for Bob Brecken. Bob Brecken is the single nicest man on the planet Earth and the designer of the original Robo Skull toy, as well as one of the designers for the remake that Skeletron is pushing out to us later this year. So absolutely stop and talk to Bob Brecken if you're going to be at Joe Fest this year. Bob Brecken is awesome. I'm absolutely thrilled. Bob Brecken is the man. Love him. Love him to death. We still keep in contact every so often through our Facebook Messenger. I met him a number of years ago at a Rollout Roll Call show. Because, the folks who promoted Rollout Roll Call, they called us up and asked us to go. All the way across the ocean. Back when people cared about our program. Back in the day.
Maybe if we finish community calendar in less than an hour.
Look, we didn't start community calendar 25 minutes in, smart guy. So really, community calendar is not taking any longer than it usually does.
Do we want more hot Roy Thomas talk?
No, we do not.
You know what I liked about All-Star Squadron?
Oh man, do you know what I really liked about the episode of Young All-Stars when that one?
That's it for community calendar. Here's the closing sequence. Remember, it's a little dark.
if it's just a side-to-side thing just to do it, we don't see any point in that.
What the hell, man?
Poor broken-hearted Yeti makes me really sad. That little Yeti, he's adorable. He's all sad. He misses his buddy. I'm not sure which Staff Sergeant C. Nugs is dead. I just know that one of them is.
And the other will assume the identity of Matches Malone.
Sure.
What was the cause of death?
Well, one of them killed the other one. I just don't know which one killed the other one. Were you not watching the intro, Joe? Come on.
I mean,
I'm not playing it again. You can just watch. You can watch the replay.
Yeah, hey, I just got here. What did I miss?
You're just getting a cat video. Forget it.
No, it's like Ripcord and Zartan. We don't know who's who. We don't know who won, who lost.
Right. I don't know which C Nugs remains. I know that one is more popular than the other. The other is more adorable than the other. I got no idea what's going on. I don't know in advance. I have nothing to do with the production on those. That is entirely our friend AbsorbVids.
Either way, I can promise you the body of the dead Signug will not be decomposing anytime this century.
No, especially not with the new sauces that McDonald's is rolling out this spring. But you can find AbsorbVids at @absorb_ on Instagram for all of his weirdness. But that's the gentleman who does all of our community calendar intros and outros. I do not produce those. Apparently, Agent Chuckles has been helping him out. Former guest of the program has been assisting with the plotting of this season's Deke intros.
Agent Chuckles, longtime Joe and Joe guy.
Yes, sir. He's one of the guys that started a podcast because of us and still does it.
Yeah.
So
right.
Kudos to him.
Yep.
You can catch them here on the YouTubes.
Yeah, I love it. More the merrier, man. Like I do love helping people get started. I really do love helping people get started with it. They just got to know that you're in for a long haul, man.
Yeah, it's more work than it appears to be.
Yeah.
It's unless you're Racktime Rob and you do nothing.
I work for a living.
Whatever. I got your work for a living right here. Dak Nomad posits probably the one that was brandishing a damn weapon. I mean, yeah, but the lights went out, so who knows? We heard there was a scuffle.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's not what happened to Matches Malone.
Right? Anyways, it's
look out.
It's time for the news. News item. That's right. Good that you remembered. You're promoted.
News from around the world.
Announcement from Voliverse early today. Michael Kelly, the former publishing honcho at Hasbro, is now with Voliverse as their chief content officer. So congratulations there. Obviously, the fingerprints of one Mark Weber starting to take effect over at the Big V. So congratulations, Michael Kelly. We knew you'd land on your feet.
Good job, Michael Kelly.
Right, that's all I got.
Yeah, it's great.
If Mark was here, he'd probably have more to say, but he's not. So we'll just bother him about it next week.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Plus, he's probably helped fill in orders.
Dustin Jeffrey says Racktime does more than the honcho.
I do.
No, not really. There's times when I have asked Mark to actually do some stuff and he does it. Whereas I'll ask Racktime Rob to do stuff and he does not. So
what have you asked me to do?
Racktime. Right?
Rob, anytime you want to talk comics.
I know.
I'm at your beck and call.
I've pushed that idea forward. He gives me nothing.
Yeah.
He says no.
We could just do like half a year on just young all-stars.
That's
that's
fine.
when I stopped reading. That was
Yeah.
But Matt Rubin says shots fired. We'll hear more about who does more next week when Mark comes back. Look, I've already told you. There's
we will each claim to do less.
I do the most, right? In that it's like whatever 100% is minus a tiny sliver. That's what I do. And then that tiny sliver is generally filled by Mark. Because Rob is a shiftless layabout. It's his whole gimmick.
It is.
It's his whole thing. Anyways, next news item. Also, just recently, just yesterday, the folks at Codename Iowa announced that they will have more details coming next Monday on Operation Armor 4. That is their stay-at-home, online-only convention that they will be holding in June 2024. Again, more details, and this year's theme will be released April 22nd. So make a note of it on your calendars. Follow Codename Iowa on Facebook. Get all the details there first. And then I'm sure there'll be like half a dozen people live streaming for 2 or 3 hours about it, which I can't recommend is good for your health. But if that's what you want to do, fine. We'll have a segment on it in the news, certainly. But that's probably it. Dave McDonald putting Rob on the spot. We haven't had any Cobra Mothership updates in a long time, Rob.
There's a reason for that.
Right.
Remember that crashing and burning thing? Yeah.
Hey, that's what happened in the intro. So really,
Yeah, well,
Right.
what else did we expect from that project?
Self-fulfilling prophecy right there.
Life imitating art is all it was.
Yeah,
Life imitating art.
Yeah. Someone should have. Was it Cobra Commander or Destro that got thrown off of it and caught?
Destro.
It was Destro. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah.
Caught,
that's the only thing missing from that.
Caught by the hulking behemoth known as Footloose.
Destro was thrown off. Cobra Commander was thrown in.
Bazooka threw Destro off, caught by Footloose hundreds of feet below, who then effortlessly tossed him to roadblock. Footloose is just a behemoth. He's a brute.
But see, that just tells me the whole thing was a drug-induced hallucination by Footloose.
I'm just saying, man.
We know Footloose didn't pass any kind of piss tests. We know this.
They
literally on his helmet. He had drugs on his helmet.
They never dove into it too deep, man. But I'm telling you, Footloose, you didn't mess with Footloose.
Popped up on a rogue super soldier serum.
Totally.
You don't mess with Footloose. I've ruined Michael Mercy's viewing of that intro for the rest of his life because I pointed out Footloose is inhumanly strong. Anyways.
Totally caber tossed.
Next news item. Hey, does this guy look familiar? Anybody?
Got away.
Right. This was a hot mess. But this is the Tiger Force wreckage and the Tiger Paw. We showed you first images a couple of weeks ago. He went up for pre-order, I guess it was last Thursday. I don't know what day. It was kind of a surprise. I finally got the email for it an hour after I woke up, which was late in the afternoon. And by that point, things were sold out for a long time already. So no, didn't happen.
Yeah, it went earlier than they normally do on Pulse.
Yeah, it was like 9 to 10 o'clock or something.
Yeah, so a lot of us missed it. And then we go over to Target, and it wasn't showing up on Target for a long time. And then eventually, life happens, and so you got stuff to do. And then I saw that on Twitter a couple hours later it was already sold out. So good job, everybody.
Right. Well done. I thought we were past this.
Yeah.
I thought we had a number of pre-orders that went swimmingly and without incident, and this kind of break, like we have to reset, the number of work days without an accident thing. We've got to go way back to zero now. But that was the G.I. Joe Classified Tiger Force Wreckage and Tiger Paw. That is a Target exclusive. There were limited quantities available on Hasbro Pulse. Retail price is about $55. Pre-orders are sold out. Release date on this one is coming up fairly soon. July 21st is not too far off in the future. So check again. They may do some more pre-sales. Who knows? I imagine this will be pretty easy to get a hold of after the release date on July 21st.
The Target stuff has been pretty, unlike the Walmart stuff, the Target stuff has been pretty good about showing up in Target.
Yeah.
Right. If the Python trouble bubble is any kind of earmark, or the Tiger Force RAM is any kind of litmus test, these will be there.
Good.
And I still won't care.
Yeah. Joe, are you in on this one?
I was gonna be in on him because I'm a kind of a completionist. I think he looks cool. I learned this week on my episode, which drops tomorrow. I learned I didn't know that this was a unproduced character, right? Like this is based off of Sabretooth that was supposed to be a part of Tiger Force that never happened. Right?
Yeah,
something. I'm probably getting some of those details wrong, but I didn't realize the lineage of this. I just thought it was a new character. So that intrigued me. So that actually made me want it more, but I learned that after I missed getting it. So
yeah, back in the day when they were first planning out Tiger Force, there was originally supposed to be a Tiger Force Torpedo, and then there was a new character called Sabretooth, which was a repaint of Firefly. He was a G.I. Joe character, but a repaint of Firefly.
Yeah, that's how it came up, because we're talking Firefly on my show tomorrow.
Right, and neither of those were produced. But then, as we got into Joe versus Cobra, there was a Wreckage figure produced that was based on Sabretooth. So Wreckage has appeared in G.I. Joe before.
Got it.
Just not quite this way. And so it's kind of a nod to, you're checking a couple of boxes with this guy, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think I think he looks pretty great. It's shocking that he's considered a G.I. Joe, though. It looks frightening. Like,
especially if you get a close up on the mask, he's got that toothy skull grin thing going on.
Totally. And I know everyone's favorite ninja's got a little bit of the fascia issue going on, but that dude looks straight up evil.
Yeah, he's gonna muss you up. I mean, his name is Wreckage, so you just expect him to blow stuff apart.
That's true.
But so I guess this was not the smoothest of pre-order process. It was, again, I wasn't super hot for this one. I may wind up picking it up. I have no great desire to add a Tiger Paw to my collection, but Wreckage, I have enough of Tiger Force that maybe Wreckage has a home. If nothing else, because he's an original character, at least. Yeah. Like, we're not going to get there's no regular issue Wreckage to issue, right? He's just, he's a Tiger Force guy. So yeah, I mean, maybe at some point. I don't know. We'll find out. I guess we'll find out after July 21st, like everybody else. Because I'm asleep in the daytime. I got to work overnight, so I had no idea this even happened when it did. It was all over but the shouting before I was even awake to deal with it. So if anybody ever wonders why I'm not posting stuff just super on the nose on Instagram, that's why, because I'm asleep, damn it. It's 11 a.m. I'm unconscious. Sorry. Diana Davis says, July 21st is when I age. Well, I mean, we all, day by day.
I hear what she's saying, Diana. I hear you. My birthday is July 13th, and I'm going to respect the day that your birthday is. We are birthday neighbors.
All right. Diana Davis will be 39. Joe Slepsky will be 73.
I will be 49 years old.
73 years young. Joe Slepsky. Looking good.
Totally. 73 in temperament.
So you're class of 93, Joe?
Class of 93. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. By the way, funny you mentioned that. On Facebook, an old ball player buddy unearthed some of our football games on YouTube.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
Yeah, because they were televised on local Chicago TV. So it was pretty entertaining. Yeah. You can see me move so slowly off the snap. Like hut hike, and I'm like, let's go.
I'm hoping to see
did you set the James K. Polk high touchdown scoring record.
Yeah. No, I was a lineman. No, I lied. What you're saying. But no, I did not. I know I did not.
I'm hoping to catch the Joe Slepsky taking off his helmet shot.
Oh,
Or
it's
just
there.
Whip out
Sure.
that rich, lush lock of Slepsky hair.
I had hair. I did have long hair back then. It was lush. It was lush. Well, the one year, my junior year, we were ranked number 2 in the nation by USA Today. Yeah. So there was a lot of that talk. Unfortunately, it's the game we lost before going to state. So it's a little bit of a bitter pill.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get too ahead of yourself there, Joe.
Ain't that the truth?
Dave McDonald asks, is this a bad rollout or secretly brilliant? It's a bad rollout.
First one, bad rollout. It was a bad rollout.
There's no secret brilliance to this. This is just again, I appreciate no one's trying to screw that up. But fact remains, it was screwed up.
Screwed up.
Yeah.
It was screwed up.
It's all right. Things happen.
Diana says, I always tell people I'm older than I am, so they always tell me how good I look. There you go.
That's a great plan, Diana. That's a great plan.
I may have to adopt that.
That backfires on me.
Right. Rob comes up with a number older than he is, and they all go, oh.
That explains it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we assume so. We have your discount.
Like, hey, wait a second.
I just sit in the corner with a pudding cup.
Right.
I worked at a movie theater in the early 90s where our manager was so bitter towards old people, he made us card people who wanted the elderly senior discount.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was carding gray hairs and telling them if they were like whatever it was, 61 instead of 62. I was telling them, no, you have to pay $6.25 instead of $4.25.
Were you really gonna, like, it's one thing if you're making them take out their ID. It's something else if you're actually enforcing it.
Yeah, he was on it. He would stand over your we wouldn't when he was around, absolutely not. But if he was remotely around, he would walk up and go, I didn't see you card those ladies. I don't think they're retirement age.
Like it's one of those where too, if anybody gave me guff, I'd have to sell him out on that too.
It was crazy, man.
It would be one of those like, are you really going to card us for that? I was like, I'm not, but that butthole back there, he is.
The dude was crazy, but yeah. So I used to card old people.
I can look at your card and then I can lie.
Yeah.
Right. Anyhow. Benjamin Kitt says, I get ranges from 30 to 55 for my students. I'm 41, not sure how to take that. I would just say, honestly, the older they think you are, probably the better it is. They don't need to know the truth.
Because eventually they think you'll never die.
Greg, he totally would have carded the Golden Girls. And you know what? He would have been right because the actresses weren't retirement age yet when they played the Golden Girls.
Well,
I don't think they were. I think they were in their late 50s. I can't believe I just defended Ed.
Yeah. Roma Clanahan was the youngest, and she was in her 50s. Estelle Getty.
I thought Estelle Getty was actually the youngest because that was the irony that she played the oldest.
She was the next youngest, and she was made up to be the mother.
Yeah.
But I think technically speaking, Betty White and B. Arthur were over 62. I think they were legitimate Golden Girls. I don't know. Somebody get on IMDb and get back to me on that.
Do you go on these tangents when I'm not around? Oh,
yeah.
Bless you, Mary Jane. Okay, good. Glad it's not just me.
Next news item.
Yeah.
Hey, this is still happening.
This is still
over on the Kickstarter. Right. 14 and 15 of creating G.I. Joe. The last entries of the book series by Dan Klingensmith. Funding through April 29th. So we're getting into the last couple of weeks. Rob, can you pull up a total on this one? I'm pretty sure it's funded, but I don't know.
As of yesterday, they were about $3,000 behind yesterday. It was very close. Tomorrow, my guest is Dan Klingensmith himself.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, we're talking all about this, and we're talking on Joe. We're talking about this, and we're talking about Firefly.
Okay. All right. Is Firefly like his favorite or something? Or
one of his, yeah.
all right. That's what he picked.
Yep.
So anybody hoping to get on Joe's show, to talk about Firefly,
I enforce the rules.
You're SOL, I'm afraid. Then again, there's sometimes you agree to go on Joe's show to talk about stuff. And
Hey,
he
buddy,
doesn't get back to you for 2 years.
Listen.
Okie dokie.
COVID happened. I don't know.
That is untrue. Since you started the You on Joe,
That's true.
there has not been another COVID outbreak.
You want Joe. Anyway, out of a goal of $36,000, it is up to $32,845.
All right, so moving right along.
Very close. We'll see. Maybe my episode tomorrow will give it that Joe on Joe bump.
Maybe. Well, you're going to record it tomorrow, and then you'll have it out probably the 30th.
No, it drops tomorrow. I recorded. I'm recorded already. I don't screw around. I finished recording. I finished putting an episode together, and I feel like that's the start to my week. It's like I wake up like this morning after I put an episode together, and I feel refreshed, even though it's a Tuesday.
Jake Rose asking the question on everybody's lips: did Joe just blame COVID for derailing a Zoom show? What's more, he blamed it for derailing a Zoom show that started after COVID was done. So yes, that's what he did. That's what he did.
It's true.
He didn't even have any of those episodes published yet, and he said, "Mike, I want to have you on. I'm going to change gears a little bit. We're going to do You on Joe for a while."
It's true.
It's going to be people talking about all about what got them into the hobby or their favorite aspect of the hobby. I said, "Well, yeah, sign me up. I'll be right there. Tell me when." And then 1 year goes by, 2 years. Like Joe's been on this show several times. I've reminded him number of times over this period.
Several times.
How when are we going to do this? And he's like, "You mean we didn't do this?" No, we didn't do this, Joe.
I told you,
it's your show.
I'm 48 years old. My memory's going.
I am also 48 years old. So
how dare you throw my age back at me?
That's right. I am technically older than you, albeit only by scant weeks. Scant weeks. We're not elderly like Rob.
Oh, rack time. That's a shot.
It is.
I don't care.
He's earned it. It's no problem. He's the Ringo of this podcast. He's the oldest in age, but the youngest in terms of tenure.
And the one that everyone likes.
Like Ringo was for the Beatles.
I'm not going to step on a bit, so I'm just going to say that, Mike, I've just been waiting for you to cross a certain threshold. Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
Jeff Butler, when Golden Girls began in September 1985, Betty White was 63, B. Arthur was 63, Estelle Getty was 62, and Rue McClanahan was 51.
Yeah.
So right there, September 1985, Rue McClanahan was Ragtime Rob's age.
Oh dear God.
And I think at the time it was 65 and older. I think it was over 65. I think in the early 90s, what they considered like adult, like elderly rates.
Right.
So right. I absolutely would have had to card the Golden Girls 100%.
Right. And to defend the producers of the Golden Girls, yeah, okay, you fudge on Betty White and B. Arthur. That's fine. If I'm Rue McClanahan, I think my feelings are hurt. But network money is network money. So
yeah, but remember, Rue was the sex pot, so you
right.
got to cast a little younger.
She's probably, hey, suit up, Blanche. That's a good check.
True story. My dad he always hated us watching that show because, quote, "I don't want to watch a bunch of old ladies talk about sex."
Golden Girls was fantastic television, and I'll not hear anything to the.
It's I love it. It's fabulous. I really do. Still, I'll throw it on every once in a while.
I'm sure Dan appreciates us reminiscing on the Golden Girls in the middle of his plug.
Totally.
Yeah.
So anyways, get to Kickstarter. Check out Creating G.I. Joe. Help that sucker.
Yeah, help it because we want to get him to the bonus tier of the slip covers.
There you go. Next news item. Also happening on the Kickstarter. Funding through May 7th, it's the comic book from our good friend over at Star Joe's, Ryan Drost. It's the Stealth Hammer. It's the third happening. It's called The Guardian and the Guide. It's all about Ari the Elf, the little fella that you see there front and center. That is funding through May 7th. A modest publishing goal for this, as with most comic books. Racktime Rob, if you would, please find Stealth Hammer. Give us an update on this one.
All right. It has a goal of 6,500. It is up to 2,822 with 20 days to go.
There you go.
41%.
Right. It's always it's funny with the comic ones because it's always a smaller goal but a tougher climb because you're moving along at $5 and $10 a clip. So really, the way you can help this one, even if you're not interested in it yourself, share it around. Just wherever you go online that may be interested in comics, you know, give it a share. Drop the link to the Kickstarter there, and that's one way you can really help. Of course, the way you can help even more is to pledge it yourself, especially if you've listened to us and gotten the previous 2 Stealth Hammer books, because here it's another part of the story. And again, he's good people. We'll have to have him. I hope we get. I don't know if we're gonna have a chance to get him back in before this is done. Nobody ever checks with me before scheduling their Kickstarters, damn it. We're busy in April. We got stuff to do in April. I can't always accommodate guests in April.
Fools, damn bureaucratic fools.
Joe's just lucky. Joe's just lucky that Mark took a vacation this week.
Oh, I am the lucky one here. I get to spend my time with you guys and gals.
Mm-hmm. But Bart's got it right. Tell him what's on Joe Mine sent you. That is sure to get at least a couple doors slammed in your face. But at the same time, may open a couple more. But head over to Kickstarter. Check out the Stealth Hammer. Get a pledge today. Let's get this one done. Let's help out our good buddy Ryan over at Star Joe's. I will get a link down below. I don't think I have it in there for this just yet. But we'll get it there. We have a lot of extra links this week. But anyways, next news item. Now open is the Delta 17 toys site, delta17toys.com.
Cool.
For the brand new 3 3/4 O-ring action figure line, Delta 17. Our good friend Brian, HCC788, he had a preview of these not too long ago up on his channel. You can check that out there. Of course, they don't send us anything. We're not a big enough deal. But anyways, for a short time, 10% off all orders 6 figures or more. So if you're interested, head over to Delta 17 on Facebook or head over to delta17toys.com. Check out their wares. It's good stuff. Ought to be compatible with everything you've got coming from Call Sign Longbow and Operation Recall and Legends of the Hidden Force and all that good stuff that we've got coming our way in the next couple of years. And these guys are at market. So you order it today, you'll get them in a couple of weeks. Dustin Jeffrey notes that we're all lucky Mark is on vacation. No talk about Cyclops tonight.
I can talk Cyclops. I can talk Cyclops.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just defending Cyclops.
Throwing down the wrong gauntlet there.
Right. It's more that Mark tries to prop Cyclops up as being a worthy competitor with, say, Spider-Man or Batman. He's just not. No,
he's not in that category, but he's pretty great. He's pretty great, though. A lot of people like slag on him. I love Cyclops.
I think he's been a character that has been a victim of some bad writing in his history. I'll give him that. I'll give it that. I think Cyclops is by and large a really great character, but there have been times when he has been done wrong.
Correct.
But that's something for another day, and never anything I'll admit around Mark.
Oh, shot.
So anyways, delta17toys.com. Those figures are available now. Check them out at your leisure and buy in great quantities because, as they say, 10% off. That means the more you buy, the more you save. Right?
That's just good math.
Right? It works.
Mathin'.
Next news item. A bit of a sad one here. Jeffrey Vareggi, the American artist has passed away, a victim of a heart attack brought on by complications from his very aggressive lupus. Jeffrey work from his covers of the Karen Travis run on G.I. Joe from IDW, and of course that iconic Spirit artwork that made its way to his classified packaging, and subsequently has been featured in other places. I think I grabbed that artwork off of Target's website. I think they're selling it as a poster in retail outlets. Like that's how popular that one was. So again, the last couple of years of Jeffrey's life were spent fighting very aggressive lupus, and finally, unfortunately, lost that battle on April 12th. Let me pull something off of. This is from ICV2.com. Jeffrey Vareghi was a member of the Port Gamble, I'm going to mispronounce this, Skalallam tribe, died of a heart attack, his family announced on his Facebook page. Vareghi grew up on the Port Gamble Skalallam Reservation near Kingston, Washington. The Skalallam are part of a larger Native American group known as Salish. He studied industrial design at the Art Institute of Seattle, receiving his associate's degree with honors in 2000. I went to school because I wanted to be an action figure designer or Disney Imagineer, he said in a 2018 interview with Smithsonian Magazine. I wanted something fun and playful. My portfolio was all Star Wars, Star Trek, and comic books. In 2001, he began an apprenticeship with master Shemishian carver David Boxley, learning the indigenous style known as formline, which uses ovals, U-shapes, and S-shapes, as well as carefully planned negative space. After that, he worked as a graphic designer and studio manager while doing commissions for a number of clients, including Nike, PBS, and Viacom. His first comics works was for Judge Dredd. He was soon doing comic covers for a number of publishers. In 2015, he was both a consultant and cover artist for Marvel's revival of Red Wolf. He continued to do cover work for Marvel, including a set of Native American variants in 2020, as well as covers for IDW Publishing, Valiant Entertainment, and other publishers. In addition to his comic work, Vareghi created murals and public art. In 2018, he did a gallery show at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian in New York that incorporated Marvel characters and Salish motifs. 2 50-foot murals from that show were acquired for the Smithsonian's permanent collection. He leaves behind his wife, Christina, and 3 children. We do have links down below. You can donate to the GoFundMe for his family. And similarly, there is a link to an eBay auction from the artist Ryan Kelly, where all proceeds will go to Jeffrey's family as well. Joe Slepsky, any thoughts?
Well, it's a shame. Yeah, it's sad. It's too young. Wife, kids. His G.I. Joe covers were amazing.
Yeah,
and that spirit is awesome.
Yeah.
And then here, I'll be honest. I didn't know a lot of his background. And here, reading all that, it's just sounds like someone who chased their dream and caught good chunks of it. So you got to celebrate that. But you know, it's a shame. Too young.
Yeah, very true. Again, our condolences to his close friends and his family.
For sure.
Which moves us into comic talk.
Oh.
To lighten things up with an awkward transition, because there's no other transition out of something like that. But what can you do?
You're giving me a dog dedication. I just come out of an upbeat song, and I got to talk about sniffles.
Anyways, from Skybound, Cobra Commander 4 of 5 is ready to go tomorrow. Of course, written Josh Williamson, pencils by Andrea Milana, and colors by Annalisa Leone. This is rated G for gems. And you can see there, as we have gotten into the story to this point. Again, I hate to break it if you haven't read the Cobra Commander series yet. What's been taking you so long? It's been great. But I'm going to throw the comic spoilers tag on the bottom there. So if you're watching this on replay, you just just go until you don't see the spoiler thing anymore, and then you'll know it's safe to listen in again. But you can see there on the cover, we've got Nemesis Enforcer swooping down on Cobra Commander. Nemesis Enforcer has been charged with keeping Cobra Commander safe as he ventures out of Cobra Law. They are not friends. Cobra Commander's having all kinds of issues with, of all people, the Dreadnoks, which Nemesis Enforcer is having to help him settle. But of course, moving here into the next part of the story. I don't know what's up with those gems. I will certainly know more tomorrow. But that is available as of tomorrow. Again, Skybound's Cobra Commander 4 of 5. Getting down to the nitty gritty, coming down to the end on this one. Be sure to pick that one up at your local comic shop just as soon as possible.
Can't wait, won't wait.
We'll discuss more in depth momentarily. Skybound bits. We've got Duke 5 releasing next week, and remember, we're beating it into the ground, but no Real American Hero in April. So don't freak out when we don't cover that one next week.
That's just a schedule. That's just a scheduling blip.
From what I understand, art delays.
Oh,
I think that might be why we've got a guest artist on the next issue.
Right.
Right.
Yep. There's no issue in April, and then I think the May issue is at an earlier week than normal.
It happens.
So yeah, it's the business in 2024.
Yep.
What can we tell you? But so we'll take that down for the moment, and of course that's the news. Remember, G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast is proud to present Chonky Tank Kitty and his Meowler Tank. We will have more news about that that wonderful little character coming up in the coming weeks as we get closer to Joe Fest. But be sure to head over, give them a listen, even if you're not interested in 3D printing at all. They've got some great insights on the hobby themselves. So again, that's the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast, the home of Chonky Tank Kitty trinkets and toys. Which brings us to the end of the news. And let's, before we proceed into further discussion of Skybound's comics, here's a quick word from our friends at Kokomo Toys.
We buy, sell, and trade vintage and modern toys. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, Marvel, DC, and more. Located in beautiful downtown Kokomo, Indiana, we are open every Wednesday through Saturday from 12 to 5. It's a theme park of nostalgia. Join the thousands of people who have traveled from all over the Midwest for over a decade to buy and sell with us. Get your geek on.
There we go. And let me go ahead and get our banner going up again, because again, if you don't want to hear anything about the Skybound comics, this is not a segment for you. You can come back and listen to us later.
That's right.
But the banner is going on the screen down below. If you're listening to us on audio replay, of course, just stop now. Come back later. Listen to it all, but you don't have to do it right now. Anyways, so we are 7 months in. It's been about a year since Skybound announced they were getting the licenses for G.I. Joe and Transformers. And 7 months since the first of those books hit the shelves. Joe Slepsky, I'll start with you here. Have you been reading Void Rivals?
I'm a couple issues behind, but yeah, I did read past the initial, like intro. Yeah.
What do you think?
It's good. It's fine. Like, I've read books like Trillium. It reminds me a lot of Trillium. It's probably going to be one of those connective tissue books that means a lot more than we're giving it credit for now. But yeah, it's it's entertaining.
Okay, I haven't read that one myself.
Yeah, it's like Enemy Mine meets, I don't know.
I managed to,
I guess.
I managed to,
Yeah.
I managed to miss the first couple issues, despite the fact that they contained, my second favorite Transformer, Jetfire. Even though they killed him off, and he won't be showing up in the main book ever, because Yeah.
Are
But
they saying deaths or deaths? Is that the rule or
I
something?
guess. I
Yeah.
mean, they seem to be. We'll get more about
The
Transformers.
Transformers book is all carnage, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Transformers has pretty well hit the ground running. You're right in the middle of the Autobot Decepticon fight. It's pretty much the story that you knew anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying the story. Make no mistake. I want to lay that out first and foremost. But I do want to say I have a complaint, and that they seem to be. And Rob and I talked about this just on our own over the weekend. They seem to be doing a lot of the shock deaths of established favorites. Like, I mean, obviously Transformers is a property that's big enough that everybody's somebody's favorite, right? But recognizable characters are being introduced and then, dealt with in the same issue. Most recently, in the most recent issue of Transformers, it was Warpath and Huffer and Cup that all met ugly ends. I mean, Cup especially is shocking. Ultra Magnus appears to be dead. I have a feeling he won't be, but for right now, it looks like he is. We mentioned Jetfire already. So that's an element of the book I could do without. I hope that's not something that carries over to G.I. Joe when it happens. Like, I would hate to see them introduce, Barbecue or Footloose or somebody who maybe doesn't have a huge following, only to kill him off 3 panels later. I think
I agree with you, but I get the feeling from the Transformer stuff is they are treating them more like disposable because they're robots, so they could come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull that. It's the whole thing. The whole thing reads like a wrestling book, which is pretty entertaining. But they're doing wrestling moves on there, so why not do like a kayfabe kind of thing of you keep bringing them back for find another reason to bring them back.
As I've said to Racktime Rob when we watch television, every stage fight since 2005 has been a pro wrestling match. Like there's no, it was only a matter of time before comic books caught up. But like in the first issue of Transformers, we saw Bumblebee, who had not been reactivated yet, take a shot, and Optimus sits there and cries about it and says that, oh, well, Bumblebee's been so damaged that he can never be reactivated. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to not have Bumblebee. You know what I mean? Like they'll bring him.
Look, I know that, and you know that. We did just in recent years. We got through a G.I. Joe book where Duke got killed on page 5, not issue 5, page 5. Granted, he still had fingerprints in that series, but anyways,
he was only appearing in flashback.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't mind it. I'm not your hardcore Transformers guy. So
right. I mean, I'm not either, but that's still just, I don't know. It just leaves a bad taste.
Yeah. Well, I hope I mean, if they do it, it is a little different doing it with robots. If they do it with with the Joes, if they start treating them like that seems a little weird. Just in the callous nature, because even the way that Johnson's writing the Transformer stuff is, they have personalities, but they are still programming. I've enjoyed it. There is this disassociation level of they know that they're programming and they have a soul, but they're it's like kind of like they're more at peace with being just robots versus I think the way humans deal with death. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Maybe
I'm drunk on Iron City. I don't know.
I just keep coming back to issue 1 with the Bumblebee scene because Optimus is pretty torn up that his little buddy took a slug.
Yeah.
And won't be coming back at least anytime soon. The way Optimus was talking sounded like for good.
Yeah.
Racktime Rob, you've been quiet.
Optimus with Megatron's arm though is pretty dope.
It is.
Yeah.
Optimus with Megatron's cannon as a smokestack in truck mode is pretty awesome too.
Yes, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Racktime Rob, you've been quiet to this point. Your thoughts on Transformers to this point?
Like I said, it's the most I've enjoyed a Transformers comic ever. Mainly because I mean, you know, the Marvel one devolved pretty quickly into just a toy commercial, and you know, other runs and stuff like that basically weren't, you know, the IDW. I don't know what the hell they were doing by the end. So
yeah, IDW certainly had its high points, but it started getting into. It just felt like it was trying to touch base on every single social issue. Which, like, I don't mind it when comic books get overtly political, right? I think we're a little numb to it because comic books, I think, by nature are political. They're all about underdog victories and taking down the establishment and you know, rising up to defeat greater powers, and that's those are political things.
Yeah.
But I think they were a little too on the nose with a lot of stuff by the end at IDW. Like they struck on some great stories in regards to you know, same-sex relationships and things like that were great, that were very progressive, I feel. And then it felt like they kept trying to get back to that peak. Like they were specifically fishing for things to bring them that kind of awareness, and it just felt a little forced after a while.
But yeah, I mean, this was something that bothered me when IDW first took over G.I. Joe. Is, hey, look, here's a character that people like, and he's dead.
Yeah.
You know, that they're just using him for cannon fodder to say, hey, look, there he is, and there he goes, you know. So I'm not big on basically just making, you know, those types of characters disposable. It's different with like somebody like Reflector, who Optimus obliterated in one of the issues because Reflector technically was a background character on the damn cartoon anyway, and it never was a toy, you know. So goodbye, who cares? But
well, he was a mail away, and he looked completely different.
And he didn't look like that, you know. But
I think he had lines in one episode.
Yeah.
Joe has turned out all the lights in an attempt to look menacing.
No, it's it was natural sunlight. I live in California where the sun shines, and so now the sun has gone down, and so now you can actually, I'm not washed out. You can see my beautiful bald head. You could hear my wife laughing at me at that statement. Toilet Teal, do you want to make a guest star on What's on Joe Mind? We were talking about you earlier.
I am in my pajamas with my mouth guard on. So.
Yeah, that's how a Cobra cleaning lady rules. In her pajamas with her mouth guard in.
There you go. I was about to say, maybe it's possible that didn't get to everybody. So we wanted to make sure that was why the invitation was denied.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's yeah, that's all. It's 8 o'clock there, Joe. Jesus, how old are you people?
Hey, you know, you live the luxurious life of a podcaster. Early to bed, early to rise.
For a brief instant, I was a little worried that they were doing that with Major Blood in Duke. Until I remembered, hey, wait a minute, he hasn't had an eye patch on this entire issue. Oh, now I know what they did.
That was good.
Yeah,
that was good. I like that.
That was a gnarly wound, but there was not for a minute did I think Major Blood met his end.
Yeah, no, like you say, the initial shock of, oh, he just got shot. Did they just kill me? Wait a minute. No eye patch. That's how he gets the eye patch.
And it made him a bit angrier too. So Transformers,
I would tend to.
Again, I'm digging it. I too, it's probably the Transformers book that I've enjoyed the most, past some miniseries and specials and things like that. I'm glad that we're not getting the full G1 treatment. Like I'm pretty tired of that story getting told again and again and again.
But it's got it's got that G1 vibe though, which I appreciate. You know, it's just
sure.
telling different stories, which I'm here for that. Yeah,
right. I'm okay with the G1 aesthetic. Lord knows it was the cleanest of anything that's come since.
Yeah.
So, like, that's whether they want to admit it or not, the bulk of the audience for that book is going to be folks that grew up with G1. So that's how they recognize Cliff Jumper. That's how they recognize Wheeljack, as opposed to the versions that came later through other titles. If you were going to give it a letter grade, Joe Slepsky, where's Transformers sitting?
Oh man, they're Transformers and the Joe books are A's, man.
All right, so you're getting ahead of me, but that's fine. That's fine.
All right, so okay. Well, Transformers A for Autobot. They get an A for Autobot.
Right time, Rob.
I would say, despite my misgivings, I still have to give that, maybe after the last issue because of what they did, an A-, but it's still a really strong book.
Yeah, I'm going B+. Cup's one of my guys, so I'm really not liking that Cup appears to be dead. But at least he went out.
You're just like the old timers.
At least he went out on his shield. But it's one of those things where my antenna is up in regards to, shock character demise. So it's something I can't shake. I'm going to need to see some. I'm going to need to see some more proof. If you have thoughts of your own on the comic series, the live chat is nice, but please leave us a big boy comment down in the big things below. That way we can comment for them, and it will be there for all posterity. Which brings us to the Joe books, and the tack for Joe is making faces at something.
No, you just said the Joe books. That gets me excited. I don't know. G.I. Joe doesn't excite you. I figured it would. You run a G.I. Joe podcast.
I just figured that by this point, the fact that you were on a G.I. Joe podcast as a guest G.I. Joe podcaster, that the shock of talking about the G.I. Joe books would not
man. I haven't. It hasn't burned out. It hasn't burned out. The fire is still alive, baby. The fire lives.
I have a feeling that's a lie, and we just woke you up by saying your name.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Why do you think my name's twice in the title of my show? In case I don't hear it the first time. What's it? Huh?
But,
are we live? Wait, are we? Oh, hey, everybody! Welcome back to Joe on Joe.
But we're anyhow. The Joe books have been a bit of a different tack in that at the beginning of this Energon universe, G.I. Joe is not a thing. We got our first exposure to Duke in Transformers #2 when Starscream kills his co-pilot. Or was Duke the co-pilot? I don't know.
Duke was the backseat man in that.
All right, so Duke was the co-pilot.
Duke was his Rio.
And Duke was Goose.
Drop some Top Gun terminology.
Or Duke was Merlin for Iceman.
Iceman.
All I know is, look, at the end of the movie, it was Tim Robbins in the back with Tom Cruise. So
it was. Tim Robbins would never be able to fit into the cockpit of any plane.
No, as he's
Tim Robbins 8.
Yeah.
He's extremely.
By the way, no, don't say it. Okay, he would never be able to fit in that plane.
What? Now you have to say it.
No, I can't.
All right.
No, I can't.
All right. But yeah, no, Tim Robbins was Merlin. So
yeah.
And it was funny when you see them all on the flight deck at the end of the movie. He's like he's towering over everybody. All those other
he's standing on a box.
He's an ent. He's an ent, and they're the Fellowship.
He's this massive power forward of a man.
Yeah,
amongst
he's definitely the center of their basketball team.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyhow. But so we got started with Duke on one side of things as Duke's quest to bring knowledge of the Transformers to the public is meeting resistance from folks who we recognize as his allies in other G.I. Joe world, led by Hawk. And so we're following Duke across the country as he just escapes, gets into and gets out of trouble.
Apparently in the Energon universe, they don't have such a thing as a podcast. Because really, Duke should become a podcaster and tell the world about Transformers.
It's the robots, man.
Yeah, I mean, to rip it from Godzilla, King Kong, just become a podcaster, tell the world, you'll get, him, mainframe, dial tone, we'll make it happen.
Sure, we'll go with that. We'll go with that because podcasters are never dismissed as crackpots. That never happens.
No, they're too busy.
Every word that emerges their lips is solid gold.
Yeah, they're too busy fighting off the hordes of fans ripping at your clothing.
Groupies are an issue.
They are a problem.
For who?
After I will say, after 13 years, groupies. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in reality. So Duke has been action packed. Joe Slepsky, since you're not on the show every week, just seems like every other week.
Sure. I love it. Yeah, no, Duke's great. Duke's great. Yeah, it's yeah, I love it. It's got all the seeds. I like that, like all the extra characters are really some of the early guys, they're not like he's not teaming up with Battle Force 2000, like it's
right.
You're getting Clutch and Rock and Roll and I think all that's great. So far it's awesome. Didn't am I imagining they pulled out the old like the old vehicles out of storage and it was the Vamp and the Sky Striker and
it was the APC.
Was it the APC? Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a great panel. Like I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, the Vamp was the Jeep that they tried to escape Clutch's garage in.
Right, that's what it was.
Was like kind of a proto Vamp.
Yeah.
Which I imagine we'll see later on as something a bit more finished.
Yeah, so I love it. I like there's kind of not slow. They're kind of slow rolling it, but they're just building. They're building up to it.
Right. As far as plot goes, I think it's not moving particularly, but they're certainly stopping to blow a lot of stuff up at every point along the way. Duke's been a great action book, right? Like it's one of those where it's I think at the end of it, it's going to be 5 issues of scene setting. But that's fine because you're starting from scratch and it needs to start somewhere. I dig that the characters in Duke and even, I mean, to a certain extent, Cobra Commander, although I don't think we've seen quite as many of them, but they are based on how they look in Classified. As opposed, like that's similar to the original looks, but not necessarily the same.
Yeah, updated, modernized.
Yeah. So
and they need to be. I've said this a million times. They need to be a recognizable uniform. It can't just be.
It can't just be.
Clothes.
Well, here's Duke because we say he is.
Yeah. They need to be in a recognizable look. So yeah, solid.
So Racktime Rob.
Yes.
Your thoughts on Duke?
Oh, I love it. It's fantastic. I echo it. This book's an A.
Yeah, I think Duke is the best of the 4 books that they're putting out.
It's been my favorite
in Energon Universe. It really is. It's a quick read. I'm always kind of disappointed at the end because it feels like I just picked it up and I'm done. But it's just because it's that enjoyable. It's that fast paced and action packed, and I like how they've incorporated some of what the heavy hitters in different places. Like obviously the Baroness is by no means a hero, but they've already had to collaborate with her to escape from, of all people, the future head of the G.I. Joe team, General Hawk.
He's a colonel in this, though.
Right. But you get what I'm saying. I'm going to get titles wrong, but it's fine. I'm tired. I mean, Duke is an A+ for me. I couldn't think of anything that I wouldn't do differently in the Duke book. It's a great start to what I hope is a long and prosperous G.I. Joe tale in the Energon universe.
Totally.
And and I don't want to sound like a hater on this, but obviously Duke's story, the fact that the Transformers exist is a big part of Duke's story, but we haven't seen a whole lot of Transformers in Duke. That's a positive, right? Same thing with Cobra Commander, although the presence has been a bit more physical, in that Cobra Law has Megatron on hand. But we'll use that as the segue. Cobra Commander is a bit of a different kind of story. Joe Slepsky, tell us what you think there.
I think it's great. I'm really enjoying it. I didn't realize it was only 5 issues though. So
yeah,
I guess I wasn't paying attention to that part of it. So when I saw that on your Chiron, there's going to need to be a lot of heavy lifting story wise for me to feel satisfied. Like I feel like the Duke one feels built to be on a cliffhanger, right?
Right.
Because his story is really just like, oh my God, I need to tell the world, and there's no way you're ever going to tell the world. And like his feels like it's a ramp. Cobra Commander felt like it was more of a leading too. So I don't know. I love it. I do love it, but I am curious as to when it wraps up, if it'll feel like a satisfying 5 issues, or if it'll just feel a little hollow in that regard.
I think I don't know about hollow, but it's certainly like these stories aren't necessarily built to end. I mean, we've got to get to a main G.I. Joe title.
Right.
So I'm sure there's going to be a tent pole where we can just kind of let things sit. But
but like, think about when they when they did the first G.I. Joe movie, and they came out with there were the 4 miniseries. They did it with Superman Returns too. There were like the 4 or 5 miniseries, and they all kind of prequel up to what the movie is, right? That's
sure.
Essentially the vibe I'm getting with these books. But in those cases, like, you culminate in bam, the movie. Duke feels like it could be its own adventure with culminating something. I'm not sure I genuinely don't mean it as a knock, because I really love the book. I'm just I don't know. I'm surprised to see that it's 5 issues, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like at the end of an arc, I would have been ready immediately for another arc with where he's at. Versus Duke, I feel like it could take him to a place, and then we could shift gears a little bit and do something.
I have a feeling that a lot of these arcs, though, will be picked up in whatever form the G.I. Joe ongoings take.
Right, I'm sure they will. Yeah.
This is I think these are table setters.
I'm sure. Yeah,
kind of like to use your allusion of the prequels. If you remember back, when DC was setting up Infinite Crisis, and they had the miniseries leading in.
Yeah.
Day of Vengeance and OMAC Project and Villains United and stuff like that, where each one was tacking on a different part of.
Yeah, I guess maybe the difference there.
Story.
Yes,
that
exactly.
It was going to lead you in.
Exactly that. I guess maybe we knew what it was leading to.
Yeah.
Or at least we didn't know that. Obviously, we don't know what the story was going to be, but we knew, like. So in this case, maybe it's just they haven't announced it yet or whatever. But
we know
it's leading to a Joe. Yeah, but
we have 2 distinct threads going, and I think the Duke story is going to continue in Destro, as Destro has been a minor player in Duke to this point, and similarly, I think Scarlet is going to be more a part of the Cobra Commander arc, if that makes any sense. I think we're gonna skip over it. Like, Scarlet's brand new. We haven't seen Scarlet anywhere else yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to guess on that one. But I could see them doing that, because obviously Cobra Commander, the resistance that he's encountered to this point has all been from folks that he's going to be aligned with in the future if things proceed as we expect them to, right? Like, there's political intrigue with Cobra Law. He's, getting messed up by the Dreadnoks. Like, we haven't seen Cobra Commander encounter any of who his greatest enemy is set to be. And I think that's where we're going to work Scarlet and Jinx and that story into things. I think she is going to encounter Cobra Commander somewhere along in that miniseries that comes next.
His greatest enemy, Hood Rash.
Right. Well, I mean, dude, it's a daily thing. Just Gold Bond does not do it justice.
It's why he switched to that, like, S&M looking gear.
Right. It's air conditioned.
Yeah. It just doesn't chafe as much.
It's just itching.
Yeah.
And we got real. We went just off the rails in a hurry on that. It doesn't take much. See,
yeah. I don't know about that. Just because I think, like you said, Destro will pick up a lot of threads of Duke because basically Duke has stumbled onto whatever secret Cobra Labs, Mars has been plotting out, which makes me wonder, and they were talking about like the power sources for these things. So I think, that's where Energon comes in, which, has he done a deal with Cobra Commander? How far ahead of Cobra Commander is Duke? Are these happening concurrently, or did Cobra Commander happen, is taking place? He meets Destro and we pick up the thread with, kind of like what chronological order do these fall into?
Right. The timeline's a little fuzzy.
Yeah. But I know I'm thinking Destro, I think is probably, we're going to get, probably the stuff behind Destro maybe, and maybe fill in some of at least what we've seen with Duke, if not pick up those threads. Or at least fill in backstory, and the Scarlet one, I don't know. I don't know from the description. I'm thinking the Scarlet one, we're bringing in that third piece of, of G.I. Joe, which has always been the ninja element. Because we haven't seen Snake Eyes yet.
Which I think is great. They're
Storm Shadow, and I mean that Snake Eyes Storm
they're
Shadow.
They're holding their
part of it.
Yeah, they're holding their powder for their big guns. They're going to unload them on us.
Right. We did not need Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow miniseries. I know everybody was expecting that when they said, "Well, we're going to do 4 miniseries that lead to the G.I. Joe title."
I thought we'd get at least one miniseries with it, and I guess, but we're getting it through Scarlet's point of view, which I kind of like.
So
we're also getting to play with Scarlet, who's a good character in her own right.
And I'm sorry that I don't realize this. So they did say it's just those 4. Then we're going into its own G.I. Joe title. That was announced, like as the actual plan.
I so.
It's I haven't read up on it in a while, but I thought that was the initial plan.
Okay.
That's not to say it hasn't changed, but I seem to remember seeing that somewhere, and I can't point you to a specific spot, but
it makes sense.
I think I'd have to go back and check out the initial press releases again. I don't know. I maybe you're right, but I don't see them putting Cobra Commander down.
No, but I think we actually might see, not only I think we might see more of him with Destro. I think we'll start to see the beginnings of their maybe working together, because I'm kind of, just as I'm reading this and just from reading the description, from what's been happening lately, I have the feeling that if you're going chronologically, Cobra Commander happens first.
Scotty Cameron with the comment thinks that Cobra Commander is set in the 6-month time jump in Duke issue 1, which
maybe,
it kind of works. I can see that.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay. Again, it'll all come together. I think the Destro book is going to be the pivotal one in regards to setting that timeline, because I think some of Destro is going to happen concurrently with what's going on in Duke.
Yeah,
like what we're reading now in the Duke book will be, we'll be seeing the others. Meanwhile, at Destro's Enclave, where Mercer eats donuts.
Silent Castle,
right?
Yeah, there's see Cobra Commander and Destro talking while in the background Mercer's like beating the hell out of Duke, like from mentioned.
Right. But so letter grade on Cobra Commander real quick. Ragtime Rob, what do you think?
It's Darklon. Let me in. Darklon.
Don't
hello.
Darklon in. Don't
cousin. Come on, cuz. Let me in.
Don't knock. It's going to start your dogs.
Yeah. I'm giving Cobra Commander an A, which surprises me, because when I was first initial reluctance said that's a lot of Cobra Law in this book. But you know what? I'm kind of glad they're embracing the weird.
Yeah, I'm good with the weird. Like, there was nothing wrong with the weird when it happened. In 1987, frankly, we never got a follow up to it, right? Like it's just there as this oddity. I think if we had more exposure to Cobra Law through maybe a 3rd season of Sunbow cartoons, we'd probably be a little bit more adjusted to it and feel better about it.
There's a big part of me. I think the thing though that always appealed to me the most about Cobra Commander as a character was that he was a guy who believed the system did nothing but screw him over, and he was going to use the system to screw it back.
I get you. Look, you're going to have your favorites between, if you've got the choice between Cobra Commander comic book and Cobra Commander cartoon. I'm with you on Cobra Commander comic as well, but there's nothing to say that that's still not a driving
force particularly in this new series, because how does he end up? Because he is, basically he's not a natural citizen of Cobra La. He's a guy they found from the outside world. So maybe he went looking for, another, and that's, we still get that aspect of him in this run. The thing that threw me off about Cobra La in the '87 movie was just like, I was like, no, this just seems like crap.
It
the
felt
reason
a little
for being the thing behind Cobra, I was just like, no.
But again, Sunbow was done after that. So we never, I'm sure there was going to be, considering that the animation was slated to be from the same people that wrote the movie, from Buzz Dixon and his team, I'm sure they'd have touched on it again. Like those guys are continuity fiends. Mm-hmm. We'd have gotten more of the Cobra La, Cobra Commander story if we had gotten a season 3 of Sunbow. Joe Slepsky, give us a letter grade on Cobra Commander.
I'll give it double C's for Cobra Commander.
So average and average? Is that what you're
saying?
An
average of A. No, an A, man. I give it an A for sure.
He's adding them together.
Yeah. No, I give it an A for sure.
No
I do. I'm really enjoying it. I do think it's great. I think it's great. It's again, I will say this though. I think there's a fair amount of story lifting to do in the next couple issues. He's just been on a road trip to meet people.
On a road trip to get beaten up by the Dreadnoks.
Yeah. Unless literally, like for some reason, like maybe the Dreadnoks literally was his destination to get to, and there's 2 issues left, so there's plenty of time to do that.
Well, they do have energy.
Because are we going to be introduced to Zartan in Cobra Commander before the end of that? You know what I mean?
I would think.
But I'm enjoying it. So yes, absolutely recommend. I do like Duke. I do like Duke more. So I guess I've got to do Duke would be an A+, but absolute A for Cobra Commander.
Yeah, same. I have to give Cobra Commander an A. I find myself thinking about that one the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like Duke is the one I am enjoying the most because I think it's just an easier book to take at face value.
Mm-hmm.
But Cobra Commander is the one that makes me just start to try and connect dots the most often. Like that's what kind of. That's the one that spurs that on more often.
They just keep finding ways to make him a new type of Cobra Commander, not retreating, like getting in the fight. And every time every issue that I've seen that happen, I have an absolute visceral reaction of joy to it.
Yeah.
Like it really, it's like when he came back around issue 100 in Larry's initial run, when he was all, on the offense and blocking people in freighters and all that stuff. Like that was a fun time for Cobra Commander. So yeah,
this is the most dangerous on his own.
Yeah,
I think Cobra Commander's ever been.
Right, like he's portrayed as a scientist, and that has been his method of self-defense. And he is quiet, and he is devious, and he doesn't show all his cards. And that's almost more threatening than the bombastic guy. Because let's face it, Cobra Commander, whether it's Sunbow or Marvel Comics, Cobra Commander is not a quiet individual.
No.
This guy is very, I don't want to say laid back, but he doesn't reveal any more than needs to be revealed at any time. He is not
very self-confident.
Yeah, he is not showy. And he's just he knows what he's capable of, and he knows what he's here to do, and you're not going to stop him, and he's just going to go about his business, and you're going to deal with that. So it's an interesting take. It's a new take on a character that's been around for 40 some odd years now, and was already, one of the true icons of G.I. Joe, the property. Greg Augusta notes that he doesn't have to show his cards; they reflect off his mask. Excellent, well done. Well played, sir. Well done.
Good point, Greg.
Well done, Greg. Well done. Former guest of the show, Greg Augusta, everyone. I am entertained by that. I'm not. I sound irritated, but I'm not. I'm genuinely charmed by that.
So now I want someone to do a drawing of all the Cobra guys playing poker, but everyone wants to sit on this side of the table across from Cobra Commander in his steel mask, and he's just looking at him, going, "What?" Yeah, that's what I want.
I knew I should have worn the ski mask.
Yeah, he doesn't. No, he doesn't get it. He's like, "What?" You see the cards reflected in his mask. That's what I want.
So we're running way long tonight. Joe Slepsky, we'll give you the opportunity to do what we got in. You have anything cool you want to show up?
Yeah. Hold on.
He's been on the show how many times? He's not prepared for.
Well, it's right there. It's right there. It's an arm. Come on. I got two cool things this week. I was up late one night and I was like, let me eBay hunt for some affordable things. I got me a Sergeant Savage carded.
Ooh.
So let me get you in the big window here. No, not me in the big window. You get Joe in the big window.
There we go. Yeah,
so
I got me a carded Sergeant Savage.
Hold it up a little closer because it's blurring out. There you go.
There we go.
It still wants to blur out. It still thinks
I
that
know.
it's the background.
I know. I'm sorry.
Because you seem suddenly you're ashamed of your thousands of comic boxes.
Oh no, it's just a hot mess. You're right. Well, here we go.
There you go.
Yeah, those are my boxes. So I got this guy carded, relatively inexpensive. But I was real happy with this guy.
I can't imagine where you found Sergeant Savage.
Who doesn't love a Wild Bill?
Nobody.
Especially
that's
Wild Bill.
Death Troop Wild Bill. That's great.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a carded Wild Bill?
That's Teddy Roosevelt Wild Bill.
Yeah. I was happy with this. And then I was telling you guys earlier before the show, I lost out on a $12 carded Fun School blaster off of eBay.
And that's what you lost out on.
I needed it. Yeah, it was.
You don't have it.
I missed it by like $2, but I got those. I got those in the mail this week. I was pretty happy with those. Those are pretty cool.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
We of course, as it's what we got in, I do have a little mini segment in here. Yeah, we're adding another one to the pile. There he is. Hey everybody. He's a real good one. He's complete. He's got actually got all of his. He's got his ammo bag that is not broken, and he's becrotched, and he's a real good one. So,
Mike, that's what I was referring to earlier. I wanted to wait till you had over 150 beachheads before I had you on the show.
Yeah, that's it.
That's exactly what I was referring to earlier, but I didn't want to spoil your. I didn't want to jump your announcement.
I know Rob is in the window there trying to sneak in what he got in because he thinks we care about that. But no.
You just lost him.
No, I kicked him out. But I do want to give I do want to give the flowers to the most recent wave of retro carded classified there, because Duke, Scarlet, and Recondo are all awesome.
Yeah.
They are fantastic. If you haven't picked up those three, they are three must-haves for your classified collection. Duke and Scarlet are especially. Scarlet's been around 40 odd years now, and finally that is a good Scarlet figure. Like, there's nothing bad you can say about it, which is not the case for any previous Scarlet figure. There's always been something wrong.
Much stuff.
Right. She is loaded for the entire firefight and part of the next one.
Do not mess.
It's pretty great.
Right?
She will end you.
So kudos. I have a feeling that the next wave of retro figures I will not be nearly so complimentary towards. And it already haven't been. But Duke, Scarlet, and Recondo are incredible. Nobody cares, Rob.
I care, Rob. Those are really great books.
They're wonderful. Great.
Those epic collections are good value too.
He's not even holding them up long enough for
them.
people
And
to know
I've
what
been
he's
picking
talking
them up on like Amazon and other websites for like about like $25-$30 a pop.
Yeah, they're really good value.
Instead of the $40-$44. So I've been
But,
finding
Joe
good deals on
Slepsky,
them.
Yeah.
we're going to roll into shout outs. Do you have anybody you'd like to shout out to?
I want to shout out to Toilet Teal.
Of course.
Vocally guest appeared a couple of minutes ago.
That was technically her debut.
That technically was her What's on Joe Mind debut. Yeah.
We're not good enough to get an image.
No,
we're not good enough to actually speak to her face to face, but she is there to scream at us.
There she is.
Look, we're friends on Facebook. I see her all the time, but
there she is. Yeah. Here, hold on. I'll just.
I mean, she and I are not friends on Facebook.
Yeah, you should be. You would love her. She would love you. But yeah, shout out to her. Shout out to anyone going to these SoCal Joe shows. Look for me. I think last time I was saying I was going to go to Transformers. You know what I didn't do? That Transformers Con was sold out. I couldn't get in there. I dropped my cousin off, and every ticket was sold out. So I ended up not at Trans. I was there, but I couldn't get in. So
was that TF Con? Is that one?
Yeah, the TF Con. Yeah,
he was just
so I ended up. Yeah, well, through the windows of my car. I dropped her off every day.
Unless they're actively on community calendar, I forget what they're called.
Yeah, she had a great time. Said it was a great show, and I've heard it was awesome. It was their big anniversary show, but totally sold out, which was a surprise. So plan ahead, everybody.
All right, that is very good. But who else we shouting out to, Joe Slepsky?
Shout out to Mark Bright. I know it was a couple weeks ago. Big artistic influence on me. When I was learning to draw, his stuff was a big style influence. Loved his work. That was a big that was a surprising. I felt it. Obviously his run on G.I. Joe, I absolutely adore. He gave us that first Snake Eyes face.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Mark Bright.
He gave us Cobra Commander kicking a puppy.
Yes, he did. Yes, he absolutely did.
He gave us Tony Stark with a glamour mullet.
Dude, right. I've been rereading those Armor Wars. They were so good. Story. I love it so much. I haven't read it in a long time.
But a good story.
Do you know? So I mentioned this on my show. I'll drop this little knowledge here. In the issues of Armor Wars leading up to Armor Wars, the first G.I. Joe character that Mark Bright ever drew was not in G.I. Joe. It was in Iron Man in 1987. William the Refrigerator Perry is in like Iron Man 222. I'm serious.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He's at a party. Yep. He's at a party. And he even has dialogue. It's not just a random cameo in the background. He's a character. He has dialogue with Tony Stark and then makes a joke and he quips as he goes off stage. So William the Refrigerator Perry was the first G.I. Joe member that Mark Bright drew in Iron Man 222. Spread the word, man.
Perhaps his only appearance, because he never showed up in Marvel's book.
No.
Yeah.
Marvel's G.I. Joe book.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. It's been I probably haven't read those since they came out, but it was a great story.
Oh, it's a great run, yeah. The issue that he gets the perm mullet is so great. They literally go to. It's not like he just takes. A lot of times an artist will take over and they'll just draw him differently, whatever. No, they make a point of him and Rhodey go to get a new do. They get a new updo, and he walks out with just that.
Yeah, because
that.
One of the ladies he was seeing ran an upscale hairstyle.
Yeah, just that perm with the mullet. Like, it is so good.
It's so god awful. It is just
so good.
Really, any time.
He looks like he should be, coming up at the 9:30 slot on MTV. I mean, it's just terrible.
Joe is heavily influenced by anybody with a fancy haircut at this point. I think it's the jealousy speaking.
And Rhodey had this like flat top. I swear they were. I mean,
Rhodey's flat top was popping though. That was a strong look for him. That was a good look for Rhodey.
Right. I mean,
Tony not so much, but Rhodey.
Yeah,
That was a
Bouncing
good look for
quarters
Rhodey.
off of that thing. Just bang.
Yeah. Like Mark's stuff, and I forgot. I think that they only credit Mark with like layouts that Bob Layton did the finishes on it. What a great combination, man! What a sharp combo. Because it was, you really see Mark's style really shines through, especially for just getting credited with, you know, I believe it's layouts. But his style absolutely shines through. Like Layton is such a master. He really brought forth Mark's characterizations, but with that Bob Layton sheen to it, you know. Dude, that Silver Centurion armor looks so good.
Yeah, cheapest big spender says, "Wow, you're running late tonight. No Mark to say it's bedtime." Mark Weber has never once helped this show end 1 minute earlier. You just stop right there. We just happen to have the loquacious Joe Slepsky.
Hey.
We had a lot to talk about, man.
Hey, you know, I got thoughts, man.
Right? But we did touch base on Mark Bright's passing last week. We went into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I did
he kind of got lost in the shuffle as we got further and further away from the 90s, because he did a lot of really high profile stuff over at DC and the Green Lantern books too.
Yeah, well, he went to I dedicated my show to him last week as well. And I learned that he went and did advertising, which is where a lot of artists, especially comic artists, go to actually make money, sadly, you know, to earn a living. So we lose them out of the industry for a little bit. But man, if you've never read his Quantum and Woody.
Oh, Quantum and Woody is fantastic. I loved it.
So good. So good.
It was a book that my friend Matt introduced to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, where did you find this madness? Where did this come from, and where can I get more?
Mm-hmm.
It is if you haven't read Mark Bright's Quantum and Woody, you need to do yourself a favor.
It's him and Christopher Priest, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. He and Priest teamed up on a lot of projects.
Viper Scout says, when Mark ran the show, it was 45. Yeah, because Mark can't host and hit buttons at the same time. That's the skill I bring to this show. Don't for a minute think what I do is easy.
So wait a minute. You think
it's easy directing traffic when Joe Slepsky is trying to talk? No.
You're saying by having that skill elongates the show by an hour and a half?
It means I always worry about padding for time, and if one thing 13 years has taught me, this show never has to pad for time.
Yeah.
If I was a more aggressive director, perhaps we would just be on 2 hours every week, but I'm not. I'd rather have a good time and let everybody talk.
We'll fix it in post.
Right?
Fix it in post. We'll got it.
We'll get it second time around. Rack Time Rob, shout about.
Thank you to the studio audience. I mean, especially if you've been hanging in with us tonight, because we be rambling.
Yeah, we're all over the place. What else you got, Rob?
Again, thanks to the Marvel Epic collections, because I've been trying to get through the X-Men cartoon, and I suddenly I'm remembering why I would always turn over to ABC and watch Bugs Bunny instead. It's a bit of a slog at the start. But it just kind of spurred me to read
the old one
that they're based on. So
the old one, because that new 97 is great.
I hear it. I might just jump into that. I might just jump. Because I think I know enough of the story. It's just But,
and they catch you up.
I would say
great.
Watch the last couple episodes of the X-Men original series, just because the first episode or two kind of run off of that. So watch the last few and then start X-Men 97.
But like when they do Dark Phoenix, I remember I saw I wanted to see what they did with Dark Phoenix. I was like, nope, the original's better. So,
it is.
Watch the original.
Dark Phoenix on the show was a little bit of a clunker, but
man, I was a college student. I was a college student trying to explain to my new friends how much I wanted to sit in front of a TV and watch a cartoon every day.
Right.
For Dark
Similar,
Phoenix.
I
And
mean,
I did. Absolutely. I recorded it on my VHS. I was like, but you don't understand. The Phoenix is really cool. They're like,
I
"We
did
just
that.
met you,
I just
dude."
did that with the Batman animated series at college, and basically all my friends just went, "Did you tape Batman? All right, let's watch."
Yeah.
X-Men was it was not as consistent as its contemporary Spider-Man was.
Right.
Like but while Spider-Man didn't reach the same heights, it also, like, it was rare that Spider-Man just threw one in the can. X-Men did both with kind of equal measure. Like, some of those X-Men's are fantastic. Some of them are like, sitting there as somebody in his late 40s seeing it for the first time, I'm sitting there going, this is really thought-provoking. This is good television. And then there's other ones where I'm sitting there like, oh wow, this is awful. So like, Spider-Man doesn't hit you with either one of them, and it was on at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, but Spider-Man was just a consistently entertaining Saturday morning cartoon. So I'd say it's worth it for the good ones, but you're gonna have to sift through some not so good ones. And then X-Men 97 is just fantastic.
It's great.
I feel I owe an apology, and I'm not going to get into specifics in case you haven't seen it. I owe an apology for all of the Gambit slander I have thrown down over the years, because most heroes do not get a piece of episodic television where they are presented so awesome as Gambit is in episode 5 of X-Men 97. It is an amazing episode of what is starting out as a great series, and he is the reason why. And so, like, I kind of like Gambit now. He has to be presented like, I get it now. They actually got into why he acts the way he does, and why even the other characters on the show don't like him very much. In fact, it's one of the things that I generally liked about the original X-Men series, is that the other X-Men seem to be as annoyed with Gambit as I was. But finally, in episode 5 of X-Men 97, we see Gambit, and he's awesome. And I have to take it back. Like, Aquaman is a character that's been around for 70 years and more, and there's never been one piece of Aquaman media as good as X-Men 97 episode 5 is for Gambit.
You're saying Aquaman 2 didn't do it for you?
I haven't seen it, so I can't say. But
I
look,
did. It's entertaining enough.
Terrible. I have nothing against, like, the first Aquaman movie is a perfectly fine movie. It's enjoyable. I had fun. I like it. But episode 5 of X-Men 97 is one of the best superhero anythings I've seen. And
it's great. It's
Gambit is
wonderful.
why.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And so I can't just hate Gambit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, because even if I say he's not one of my favorites, he's not, like, that is going to sit in my head and say, yeah, but he was pretty good there. And it's always going to be true.
Yep.
So that's how good X-Men 97 is so far. And I'm not even an X-Men guy. That's how good that show is.
Yep. Dave McDonald, you're completely correct. He was a plot device to get baby Nathan out of the picture, which is sad,
Dave
but
McDonald
there's only so much they can do.
Bishop still does nothing because Joe can't clue us in on what he's responding to.
I'm sorry. I was just randomly talking to the chat. Hold on.
Don't randomly talk to the chat.
Let me give you Pinafore.
Jake Rose saying Peter David's run on Aquaman is great. It was. I love
Yeah,
Peter
it's
David.
great.
I love Peter David anything, but go watch X-Men 97 and tell me that 5th episode is not just an absolute it's incredible. It's a gut punch. It's awesome. Just awesome. So I can't hate Gambit anymore. It's so good that I cannot hate Gambit anymore. So I owe an apology to the Gambit people I may have offended over the previous years and years of comic fandom. My bad. I
It's
get it
kind of
now.
like how I say, Cable's the worst, but then I really enjoyed Deadpool too.
Right. It just I get it now. Whatever you see in Gambit has finally been presented to me. I'm still not going to defend that costume. It's terrible. But as far Gambit himself, okay, all right, I get it.
It's the old line about there being no bad characters. They're just characters done badly.
Yeah, kind of.
Funny, that costume only works with the trench coat on.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
And even then it barely works.
It doesn't work with the trench coat on.
I think like shape wise, I think it works really well, and then as long as the trench coat, like detail wise, covers most of what he's wearing underneath. But as soon as you get too much of a glimpse of whatever the hot mess that they designed as his leotard thing, it's like, no, close the coat, keep the coat closed. Like with the coat, he looks great. And then as soon as, oh, it's a little warm, Cher, you're like, oh God, no, put it on.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Gambit with the trench coat actually makes sense. His power is to infuse everyday objects with this energy that makes them explode when he throws them. He should have a lot of pockets.
Should be like a magician.
Right. So him having a large, loose piece of clothing like a trench coat to obscure what he might be carrying around is a solid choice. It's just that costume underneath that trench coat is a raging disgrace.
It's a hot mess.
It is
hot mess.
It's wrong. So
I don't know what the spiral thing happening in this part of it is. I don't understand it.
Yeah, the weird future pool noodle outline.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't like it. But I'll give you this though. The headgear, pretty great.
No.
I think it's pretty great for his look, for his overall silhouette. I think it's pretty great.
Open face mask is crap. I refuse. Either you have a mask or you don't have a mask.
But it keeps his hair up.
Then wear a headband. It's just a bad costume. I will never change on that. It's a bad costume. But okay, all right.
I think the only one that ever worked with was Firestorm. That's been it.
And even then,
that is true. Yeah.
Like he had blank eyes and
that wasn't Robbie's
lines around his eyes. So
he was always wasn't even either one of their faces either. That was always it was like a new person, so to speak.
And who's looking at that? It's like, is your hair on fire?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyways, my shout outs. I will reiterate Rob's shout out for our studio audience. Thank you for staying with us through this shambling mess of a podcast. If you're catching us on replay, we love you too. However you're watching us tonight, make sure if you're on Facebook, be sure to give us a thumbs up or a heart or a little huggy guy. That's how they keep that algorithm moving over there. If you're catching us on the YouTube, especially, that's where you can help us out the most. Be sure to leave us a like in that corner and a subscribe in that one. Click them buttons. Do those cool YouTube things. Leave us a big boy comment down below. And of course, share us in all your social media circles. Help us get the word around. Because that's what we need. Whether it's Facebook groups or Reddit channels or what have you, just to get us out there. And again, interacting with the video itself, that's going to get it done. Not live chat. Live chat's great, but it doesn't get the job done. Don't pay those bills. We're still trying to grow this thing, and it's been a slog. So again, like the videos and please subscribe away. 25% of you watch us every week and are not subscribed. I don't get it. How do you invest this much time in us just sitting and talking about things and not subscribe? That's crazy to me. If you're catching us on audio replay, we love you too. Be sure to leave us a nice 5-star review wherever you get your audio podcasts. Similarly, be sure to tune into the Joe on Joe podcast, which he is here on YouTube, but he does most of his work in the audio realm. So wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Apple or Spotify or Podbean, like our home, be sure to leave Joe a nice review there too, because that's how things get around. Cheapest Big Spender notes that hey, General Hawk had the open face mask on his worst version. Yes, you're correct, and
he put a helmet over it.
And you're not helping yourself, dude. Just no. Not happening.
It's Firestorm and Colossal Boy. That's
Right.
the end.
Yeah, Colossal Boy looked really good too. Yeah.
No, he didn't. He still looked like a dork. Open face masks are out. Okay, just no.
Legion doesn't do masks.
Then
Yeah.
then
It was just a headgear.
don't do anything. Get a better haircut and just
A
not
head
don't
harness.
have anything.
Diana's right. It's a head harness. It's a harness.
No,
Got to keep all that head in.
it's dumb.
Maybe he had a misshapen skull and he needed it to help shape. Maybe it was therapeutic. Mike.
Then he should probably just wear the helmet and be done with it.
Maybe he needed to keep his head up when he got big.
That's it.
The flight ring is no help.
Oh. As our friend Vagon likes to say, stay safe, and if you can't, be careful. Be sure to join us next Tuesday at 9:05. We'll be back with a honcho-filled What's on Joe Mind. We think. I don't know. We're there again. We're working on new guests for next week. I don't mean to make it sound. This is going to sound worse than it actually is, Joe. I went through 6 other attempts to have us have a replacement for Mark. I planned on having you. I planned on having you on first week of May as soon as we got past our anniversary show. But obviously, I had to accelerate things a little bit.
See, and now Joe doesn't want to come on the show anymore.
Look, he's playing this up, but I told him this before.
Of course. No, of course. And you and I have been talking about getting you on my show. I'm trying to get you next week. So we are making that happen.
Fine. Maybe.
Listen, I've got nothing else to do. So anytime you want me to drop it, I'll be your Tony Randall.
Anytime you want to show up and stretch our show out to the better part of 3 hours. Yeah. That's it.
Hey, you're Tony Randall.
Just keep. I was worried about filling 2 hours tonight, folks. I was concerned. I was not sure we were going to be able to do it. I'm a fool. But as I said earlier, as our friend Vagon likes to say, stay safe, and if you can't, be careful. Be sure to tune in next week, 9:05, here on the Superstation for another episode of What's on Joe Mind. And until then, have a great rest of the week for those of you who are still awake. Yo, Joe. Rob, are you going to do that cool hit the button thing like Mark does or no?
That's Mark's like, I don't want to step on his toes.
All right, fair enough.
Good night,
Hey,
everybody.
did we do the
Thank you
Bandcamp
for
thing?
joining us. It means a lot.
What's that now?
Do we have to do the Bandcamp thing?
Oh, right. Sure. I just found the hey, everybody. Go listen to Bandcamp Podcast.
Look, I finished the head. There we go. All right.
Do it.
There he was. Sadly, we can't give Joe the full experience, but have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.